College football has a problem, and this one is not going away quietly. Texas Tech's $5 million quarterback Brendan Sorsby was supposed to be the piece that propelled the Red Raiders into and past the first round of the college football playoff in 2026. But now, Taco Tech is scrambling to secure its Big 12 future and playoff dreams with Sorsby gambling rehab and facing NCAA discipline that feels like a permanent ban, plus an incoming legal fight that could shake up the entire sport. The question now is simple: where does accountability begin, and where does the system itself have to answer for what it has allowed college football to become? We'll also talk about Kirby Smart declaring the Big Ten king of college football as NIL shifts the balance of power to the North, along with recruiting momentum, revenue, and the national championship credibility that comes with three straight natties from the Big Ten. If that's true, is 2026 a must win year for the SEC? It's Big Monday. Let's talk about it. Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome back to Hall of Fame College Football. I'm your host, Jason Watkins, and if you love college football, you know you're in the right place. So before you forget, smash that red subscriber button, like our videos, and don't forget to ring the bell so you don't miss a moment of Hall of Fame College Football. Welcome back to the show, everybody. You'll have to excuse me on this. I'm gonna add something here real quick because that's not correct what we've got in there. Oops. On the Today Show stuff, didn't get a chance to change that. I knew better than to add that kind of stuff on there. Anyway, oh wait, there we go. I'll fix it later. Anyway, welcome back. Hope everybody had a good weekend. Yeah, we're gonna get into talking about Taco Tech and all the craziness that hit. Of course, right at the end of the news cycle on Friday, when it was announced that Brendan Sorsby had basically hired an attorney, one of the biggest attorneys in, uh, you know, basically sports antitrust type of stuff, Jeffrey Kessler, to regain his college eligibility. Apparently, he believes that from what I'm hearing right now, it's a bunch of talk about the punishment, which is likely a lifetime ban being too much for gambling, even if it is on your own team in college football. How can you vet that now? If that's now called tampering. If you were Taco Tech, how do you not vet someone you're about to spend millions of dollars to make? Yeah, and how can you not vet that? That's a good question. Um, it's a good question, and both of those are good questions. At the end of the day, I mean, Tech. Look, bottom line is pretty simple. That kind of stuff, when we start talking about that, fact of the matter is that tampering, they want to make that such a big thing and something that they're going to crack down on. At the end of the day, I don't know that you can't, because here's the deal: everybody's expecting and thinking, like, with the Pete Golding stuff in Clemson, that they're going to be able to do anything to him. I feel like that's a big nothing burger, because they've got plenty of proof that LSU was and Lane Kiffin were tampering with their players, uh, and so does everybody else. So if you're gonna hand out all these punishments and stuff like that, you're gonna have to do it to everybody, because everybody's doing it. And I don't think that's where anybody, even the coaches, they don't want that to go. And you haven't even seen Clemson really doesn't sound like they're being as cooperative as Dabo acted like they would be with the NCAA moving forward. We'll see. Apparently, this is a S4L. Good stuff. Welcome into the show. Let me just say hello to everybody coming in. Obviously, Benji, thank you for coming in. Brandon Snake, 47 straight. T Boomer, Robert Cotton. Let's see. Kobe. What's up there, Kobe? True Okie, Robert Walliger, S4L, Sooners for Life. And let's see who else. Dave's here, my guy. What's up? What's up? What's up? Well, here's the deal. Talking about, if Cincinnati knew about this, well, apparently they did. Apparently they did know about this, which also brings in, that's another great question. We're going to have Chris Mason on talking with us here in just a little bit. I think there's so many angles that you got to kind of talk about this in from, because of the fact that, I mean, look, Paul Feinbaum, I mean, I saw something from him on this. I don't know if it was on Friday or if it may have even been this morning, where he was talking about, he spoke to uh, like a sports book or expert, some guy in sports gambling, an expert that was saying that 25% of college athletes were, I think it was 75% of all males in college are betting on sports, and 25% of college athletes are known to be betting on sports. And that, if that's the case, it's going right through, their phones or whatever. We're talking about, you know, apps, things like that, where they're definitely doing that. At the end of the day, I don't know whether or not this is something that you can't even like just corral it into one little thing. This is an ongoing thing that you had legislation that was going to be in effect that would allow the players to gamble on professional sports. Of course, Greg Sankey and a lot of the other commissioners talked to Charlie Baker about that, and they rescinded that request that they were sending up to Capitol Hill. But here's the deal: I don't know that that you can just shut off this, or unring this bell is probably the best way I would put it. I don't know that you can. In any event, one thing we do know is when it comes to Sorsby is that the rule is that you know you can't gamble at all, but you definitely, if there's different stipulations on the rules on what the punishment will be. And if you're gambling on your own sport and on your own team, it's an immediate lifetime ban. You had Hunter Deckers already have that happen, right? You already had this happen with him from Iowa State, and that was over what was supposedly just like a $15 bet. So at the end of the day, I struggle to believe that this is going to change, or that this is going to just go away. But we'll wait and see, I guess. We're going to be bringing into the show real quick. Hold on just a second. I need to work on that. Oh, welcome into the show. From Sooners 360, our guy, Mr. Mason, Chris Mason. Welcome into the show, sir.
Hello.
How we doing, man? Oh,
I'm doing good.
good to see you. Let me fix this real quick. We're just getting into this conversation about Brendan Sorsby apparently bringing in or hiring Jeffrey Kessler, a renowned antitrust sports attorney who's represented a number of different college athletes and some pro ones as well. Um, what is your take on this about to try to regain his eligibility? How do you feel like that's what you feel about that?
Well, I feel like I think it's a real it's a reach. It's a real reach in my opinion. Obviously this guy Kessler has had a lot of success getting eligibility, fighting
Yes.
eligibility issues, and I just think this is a wholly different category of issue in terms of that. Sorsby's, if the reports that we've been fed correctly, from Pete Thamel and sources like that are correct, right? That there's not been some massive misreporting of the situation. I feel like Sorsby has he's broken clear, established NCAA rules on gambling
Clearly.
that stood up to scrutiny when they suspended the Iowa State player Decker previously, and and he appears to have illegally gambled as well. In the using the apps in the two states of Ohio and Indiana, I believe he wasn't 21 when he gambled, and he needed to be to use those apps correctly. So,
that's even new information. I didn't even think about that, but I mean, obviously he wouldn't be 21.
Yeah, when he's a redshirt freshman in Indiana, he wouldn't be 21.
Of course not.
So I think that hurts his case even more a little bit. If he was, I think, because if Kessler could argue on some level that, well, he's not, the NCAA stopping him from doing something that he would be legally able to do otherwise.
Yeah,
I think that would be that's a possible argument. It's not a great one, in my opinion, but the fact that he did this illegally. And the NCAA has, the NCAA, to their credit, they have they've outlined things like if you just did this once or twice and you got caught, that you had a small amount of money or you were doing some small transactions, I don't know that with some friends or doing something small, they have the ability to get your eligibility restored, and they have the method to that. They have the method to close that, to close that loop. I mean, it's a reasonable policy from the NCAA in terms of that. Like, look, I gambled a couple of times. The NCAA says, fine, that's fine. Small amount of gambling whatsoever, that's fine. You can miss a game, restitution. Miss a game, and I think restitution is probably money to a charity or something like that. When we say restitution in this case, so something simple like that. So yeah. I think if he's really bet thousands of times.
Yeah, they said something like 10,000 bets or something like that is what I was getting, and what are we talking? I mean, there's got to be some line in the sand and there is one. They have it outlined as to what it is. The problem that you kind of run into, though, Mr. Mason, is that the unevenness with which they handle everything at the NCAA, the lack of consistent, this is the way we're doing it, and the fact that there's no collective. Again, I'm going to be the guy that says,
no, you're right. You're right. The players did not have a say in this. Now, I do think one thing that maybe will help the NCAA possibly is that all sports leagues, amateur and pro, have strict gambling rules. EPL. If you go worldwide, even like cricket, EPL, rugby, they've had gambling scandals and
it's against the law. I mean, it's even against the law in America. I mean, you know what I mean? To gamble on sports. I mean, you go all the way back to the Black Sox and
right,
in the 1920s or whatever it was when they threw the World Series.
Yeah, so I think there's unlike NCAA eligibility, which is just confined to the NCAA, right? I mean, eligibility, college sports eligibility is a lava flow that the NCAA doesn't really know how to control, and they won't stop it by putting in the block of a CBA, right? Court-wise, right?
That's right.
So I think we've talked about that on a number of occasions, and we're not the only ones sort of saying that. I think Sorsby trying to keep his eligibility while admitting, and maybe he's not admitted to gambling, but saying he's gone to therapy for gambling is kind of admitting that you're gambling, right? I mean, it's like saying, well, I don't have a cocaine addiction, but I'm at Betty Ford.
But I'm going to rehab?
I'm going to rehab for cocaine addiction.
Yes.
Okay, so He's kind of admitting that he's done this. The other thing I think that is, if the court thing does play out, that gets, I think, dangerous for Sorsby, is he would doubtlessly be put on the stand at a hearing.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm the NCAA, I heavily query him and ask, have you illegally gambled? I mean, like non-bet, not apps. What are you doing on campus? Because I'm sorry. I mean, maybe this is too critical, but I don't believe Sorsby's not. If he has a gambling addiction and he's betting this many times on this much stuff, you can't convince me he's not feeding some cash to some illegal campus bookies, right?
Well, and I mean, one of the stories that comes out that he's there betting on balls and strikes at a Reds game. At a Reds game.
Yeah, which
I mean, Pete Rose. Come on.
well, and I believe, didn't the Bama baseball coach get
Yes,
busted? Wasn't the guy who was making his bets? Wasn't he making those bets at like at a Reds game?
he was.
So it's like
He was.
it's Cincinnati and gambling is just okay. All right. So I think So if you're Sorsby and you go on the stand and you admit that you have illegally gambled, and I mean not beyond, there's gambling on the apps illegally, right? And then there's admitting that you've gambled thousands of dollars with campus bookies or who we know exist, right? I mean, they've always existed. We know all the way back to the Tulane and ASU basketball scandals that there's always a guy on campus that you can make book with, right? I mean, and if it's, I think it's naive to think that if he's betting thousands of times on balls and strikes and nonsense like this, and he's going to he's hooked on gambling. He was hooked on gambling, right? I mean, so it's naive to think that he was limiting it to just the apps.
Well, and on top, yeah, of course.
And if he goes on
if
he goes on the stand and he perjures himself, like, no, I've never bet illegally, and the NCAA says we've got gambling sheets from Joe Gambler, Joe Bookie from Cincinnati. He says that you gambled illegally with him, and he's got a gambling book to say it, and then all of a sudden, you perjure yourself you basically perjure yourself at a hearing and try and get your eligibility restored. And you also are admitting on record that you've committed further offenses. So I think I think if I'm Sorsby's lawyer, I'm like, well, we can push this, but I don't want to put you on the stand where you may have to admit to, you may have to, you can't plead the fifth in this kind of thing, right? I mean, you're not on trial. You're trying to get an injunction. Mm-hmm. You're trying to get relief from the courts. And
this is the ultimate sin in sports.
It is.
It's the ultimate and here's where if it was just the balls and strikes, or it was just baseball, or something else other than we know apparently that there's evidence out there that proves that he knowingly bet on Indiana football when he was a player on the Indiana team. He wasn't playing in the games apparently, but he was a player there.
Yeah.
If you're doing that, the bottom line is that, I mean, that is the ultimate sin in any sport, is to bet on the sport that you're on. Because just like the Pete Rose, I mean, we talked about Pete Rose, lifetime ban from the game. He was a Hall of Fame player, and he didn't get into the Hall of Fame because of it. Why? Because he was betting on his team. Now, he was always betting for them to win, apparently. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. This is something that you cannot, and here's where I feel like it's an important thing, that this is one thing that I'm going to always, me, I'm always on the side of the players. But here's the thing. There's two things could be true at the same time. They know damn good and well that this is not okay. It's plastered all over everything, all over any stadium that you walk into, that it's not allowed. They know it. They go through all kinds of training for this stuff when they get to every year, I'm sure. It's unequivocal of what the hell's going to happen to you if you're betting on college football, especially, right?
Yeah.
They know. So to do that, and then now you're going to fight over it about, and somebody said that the penalty's being too harsh. I don't think that it is. And in fact, I don't know that the NFL is going to want to allow him into their situation, because as a sport, as an entity, you cannot allow there to be the thought of improprieties. And there's already enough people that think games are rigged anyway. If you've got meaningful players that have gambling addiction problems and are betting 10,000 times on something, so that, I mean, I guess that does kind of scream gambling addiction problem. If you know that this is going on, the integrity of your game suffers. And who's going to watch that stuff? Who's going to take part in gambling when it makes so much money? You know that it's making money for these, everybody's sponsored by these gambling outfits anyway. So it definitely drives the sport. But if you can't believe that it's on the up and up, why would you have anything to do with it?
Well, you're exactly right. I mean, you have enough. Like I said, I mean, how many how many OU games have we watched where you could have we could have been convinced the refs rigged it, right? I mean, how many games like that where you could just be convinced the refs are in the bag for somebody, and OU fans would say, you asked OU fans, just like the Oregon game, the infamous Oregon game. If you polled OU fans with the refs in the bag for Oregon to win that football game, 99% of OU fans, even reasonable OU fans, are going to say, yeah. I mean, just based upon how bad it was. So you can't. The NBA had that whole problem with their refs. They cracked down on that. I mean, there's no. You see the guys in the NBA who have been arrested for the stuff that they were recently doing.
Right.
So there's no evidence anywhere. I mean, guys have been suspended in other sports internationally for gambling. If you go back precedent-wise in the 80s, there was a game rigging scandal in Italian soccer, and the best Italian soccer player of his era lost 2 years because of gambling. Was suspended 3 years for gambling. So there's if I don't know what precedent. Yeah, unlike the Kessler thing, beating the NCAA on eligibility stuff is easy, right?
Right.
I mean, because the NCAA, as we've said anytime, it's sliding scale. They're not consistent. They've been doing all different things. They keep moving the goalposts and the milestones you have to do, but
Right.
they haven't changed this really at all. They tried to. They did try and push an initiative that would allow college students to bet on other sports, and then they pulled
Pro
it,
sports,
and then they pulled it back.
They pulled it back because Commissioner Sankey was one of them.
Yeah.
That came out very much in against that. But here's the thing, and I just saw this a little while ago on Paul Feinbaum was saying on Get Up. I don't know if it was this morning or yesterday, but he was talking about he had talked to, let's see, who was it? Danny Sheridan. He's a well-known
Gambling, the odds guy.
The gambling guy, right.
USA Today odds maker guy. Used to be.
Correct. 75% of male college students bet on sports right now. 75% of them is what he's saying. And more than 25%, according to his research, of athletes are doing it too. And so we're talking, that's 25% of college athletes are doing it too. That's epidemic kind of stuff right there. And that's a problem that goes a lot deeper than this. At the end of the day, if you're Texas Tech, how can you land anywhere other than the right side of this thing? Whether he goes and fights for his eligibility or not, they should be unequivocal and never allowing him to come back to campus and play.
The only issue I've always had with some of this stuff going on is the universities acting like they haven't had a voice in NCAA eligibility stuff, right? Well, okay. It's one thing to, even with the where the OU and the Heineke situation, I'm like, okay, as much as we think Owen, that ruling was just common sense, fair common sense thing. the issue I do have is that Tech voted these gambling rules in.
Of
It's
course
not
they do.
they didn't. You voted this. This isn't. You can't wash your hands and say, "Oh no. We didn't do this. This is nothing to say." You are
No,
the
this isn't the
institution.
same as saying that there should be tampering rules and then tampering.
Yeah, I mean, this is
It's not
you.
the same thing. Not the
Yeah,
same thing.
this is you're part of the NCAA. You authorized this policy. It has stood for 3-4 years once the NCAA realized, once the flood of online gambling started, legal sports gambling outside of Vegas. I mean, outside of
Sure, but
Vegas
even
happened.
before that, the NCAA has always been staunchly against it. You would get it.
Oh
It would
yeah,
have
yeah,
been a
yeah.
lifetime ban a long time ago.
Oh
You
yeah.
remember going back to like the college basketball players getting caught throwing games or
Yep. Yep.
shaving points or whatever. There's all kinds of things that happen like that.
Yeah.
And I would tell you that you heard a lot of that kind of stuff after Oklahoma played Alabama in the playoff this year about the punter, that they thought that, how in the world does that happen? You had former players that were accusing the kid of doing it with no reason to do it other than what they saw on the field,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But these are the kind of things that you cannot have. Those kind of allegations that come from people like that, they get life from there not being for an institution like Tech not getting on the right side of this and making sure that you can do whatever you want, Brendan, with this, but you were busted and you're no longer a part of this football program, and we're not going to support you in it. But I just think poor vetting at Tech, absolutely. Again, as it was brought up earlier, though, how do you vet them without tampering? I don't know, but that's where all this stuff just kind of gets intermingled, and this is why it's such a shit show up at the NCAA. They've allowed they've allowed so much ridiculous things to come along, and over the life of the damn. It's been a feckless organization for 50 years at minimum, but at the end of the day, you allowed it to get so bad that there's really that players now are willing to go and take you to court on anything because nothing you stand for matters because there is no collective bargaining. On top of that, it is, and so I was in agreement with Josh Pate whenever he said this last week. I'll say it with it. It's one thing, I can sit here and I can agree with you that it doesn't sound great that people like Josh Pate, myself, we've all promoted gambling sites. They're in bed with college football. They're in bed with the NFL. They're in bed with the NBA. They're in bed with all these sports leagues that these players play in. And so they're making money off of it, but the players can't. Sorry, that's the rules. It's always been the rules. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
get it that the look is bad. This is what he said. The look is, I can agree with you that the look
It
isn't
looks
great.
hypocritical, right? It seems to be
It
saying
is.
it seems to be saying
Sure.
we're taking their money, but you can't participate in it.
Correct. It does look hypocritical. At the end of the day, for the sake of the integrity of the sport, you cannot allow it. It cannot be allowed.
No, and I think, as you said, Tech. If some reason Kessler and Tech find some good guy judge or whatever who's just willing to sign off on just basically anything, right? Some argument from that. Yeah, it's old John Mateer's fault
It's all John Mateer's fault, Texas.
because of his silly Venmo codes. If they're willing to do that, if he wins and Tech is like, oh, we're just going to play him, I'd be like, you guys are spineless and you're as spineless and feckless as the NCAA because you signed off on this rule. You said you were going to abide by this. And if you're just like, well, no, our starting quarterback's more important than this rule we signed off on, which is
Make no mistake, there's a group of people. Make no mistake, there's a large amount of Tech fans and probably people within the front offices. Cody, I don't know I haven't heard anything that Cody had to say so far on it. But I would tell you
the
this.
the owner hasn't spoken.
He's spoken about a lot of things, but I don't think that he's come out and said that we support this kid.
No.
At the end of the day, I believe that there may be some people, the right people, that are going to not do this and that won't allow it to happen, and Cody may be one of them. But I would tell you that there's a large group of people, important people to the athletic department there at Texas Tech, and boosters and everything else, that would absolutely get behind supporting him and trying to go against the NCAA on it. It's crazy. The hope is but you're right. If they actually do it, you're
I
just
mean,
as bad.
I mean,
You're just as bad.
nothing says that
It
Tech
can't just be about winning, folks.
right. Nothing says Tech has to play him. They can suspend him.
That's right.
They could say, "Well, it's fine. You fighting the NCAA rule. Guess what? This is conduct detrimental to the team. We're suspending you indefinitely. Good luck.
Yeah.
Have some
So,
backbone.
here's this.
Have some backbone and do what you need to do."
Why come out now? Sounds like Cincinnati leaked this out because of sour grapes. Hold on though. There and you know what? I think that it did come out that Cincinnati knew about it. And that being said, if they did, if Cincinnati knew about it, there's no way they leaked it out. Because if so, then your entire season and every game that he played in, they can
You can wipe it.
forfeit all. They would take. I mean, they could screw them up with a lot of things, scholarships, all kinds of stuff. You know, eligibility as far as that concerned. They could do a lot of things to him, and then
That's why Iowa State.
vacating wins and everything else. That entire last season and everything else would likely be taken away if they're the ones that did that. Then you're admitting that you knew and you played him anyway. I don't believe that Cincinnati leaked it. I believe that they knew about it. I believe they absolutely knew about it. But I believe they were trying to get their money back or trying to get their pound of flesh by suing him for $1 million, which is actually more than he was making at Cincinnati.
Yeah,
So
there's a there's a mess here. Cincinnati may end up backfiring on Cincinnati as well. You notice Iowa State suspended all these kids before the NCAA did a damn thing. When they had these kids when they had these kids doing this, they immediately booted them off the team, suspended indefinitely. They were very, very, you know, he's taking a leave of absence from Texas Tech football, right? And Texas Tech is being very hands off on this instead of like showing some goddamn leadership. For lack of a better saying, to say
correct.
Look,
Yeah, you're hearing a bunch of stuff from behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Everything out front facing is just a lot of real quiet. Not saying much. We're gonna, like what you said. They're saying, we're gonna just, all they can do is say that we're gonna, cooperate with the investigation by the NCAA. Blah 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 blah. But in private, they're pissed off at Brendan Sorsby. They should be, but they ought to be pissed at themselves for their lack of accountability
I mean,
and their lack of research in the guy that you are giving $5 million to, by the way. $5 million for 1 year.
That's NFL money, and the NFL, you can guarantee if he had made it through college with this and it hadn't been discovered, the NFL would have found this out. Mm-hmm. Right. In their pre-draft vetting process, they would have found this.
Oh, dude, they have the best investigation team
they'd have found this. They would have found this.
You're not getting away with shit. You're not going to get away with things that aren't on the record as far as like with the law or anything like that. They're going to find it.
They're going to find. They find it all the time these days.
Players
drop in the draft for stuff no one ever knows about, and someone will say, "Well, it's and they'll just say, "Well, it's character issues." And they'll just leave it at that. They'll just leave it at that. So I mean, it's a big.
And Kobe's asking, does anyone care about vacating wins? Michigan, no,
we don't.
And just like I've never cared about the USC stuff that they took away the USC's national championships and the Heisman from Reggie. I watched them win it.
Yeah,
I watched them win it. Yeah. I watched them kick the crap out of Oklahoma 1 year, and then I mean, at the end of the day, we saw how good that team was. They were the national champions.
Yeah.
We saw Michigan take care of business 2 years ago or 3 years ago now and win the national championship too. They were dominant.
Now, but
At the end,
it's different when if the NCAA says, "Hey guys,
but
you were playing an ineligible player."
correct. That means that they can not only can they take away those old, vacating wins, they can take away scholarships and shit from you, and roster size. They screw with your roster size. They're going to take money from you.
Yeah.
That's part of the gambling thing is that they can take money from your school, like half of the damn revenue that they bring in.
So yeah, so it's a mess for this is a mess for Cincinnati too. And if I'm anybody at Tech, I'm like, look, we can't play this guy. We should, it's nice, Now Albert Breer, the NFL guy, is basically indicating that his sources are telling him that he knows he has no chance in court, that this is simply getting it established that he cannot return to the college game, which gives him everything he needs to fulfill the requirements to request the NFL conduct a supplemental draft for him. Mm-hmm. That if he's in this interim state, he doesn't meet the requirements for the NFL to run a supplemental draft. That's as I understand it. Once his college eligibility is officially expired, suspended, vacated, eliminated, whatever term you want to use.
Yeah,
he has the ability to file something with the NFL in their established process through their CBA with the Players Association, and say, I need relief of a supplemental draft. My college eligibility is over. I'm over 20. I've played 3 years of college football. I'm over the age.
He was a freshman in 2022. He's played 4 years now.
Yeah, so he's
He's been 4 years.
He's met the requirements of the NFL CBA in terms of age limit. I need to, I'd like to join this, and then the NFL, the NFL will obviously do their due diligence on it. Players have asked for supplemental draft access and not been drafted. That's happened. And he would just become an unrestricted free agent. The supplemental draft process is a little weird. I haven't really seen it used late. I can't remember if they've changed it, but it used to be basically every team starting in order of their record has a chance to draft him until someone does. Like basically, like the it's the sliding scale of how the draft works. And if you use a supplemental pick, it takes away a pick from next year's draft. So basically, like, does anybody want to use a round one pick? And then it'll go through the order. Did anybody want to use a second round pick? No. So he might go third or fourth round before someone says, yeah, we'll draft him. And then I think they only do like 3 or 4. They only do like obviously 5. There's like they only do 7 passes at this before he becomes an unrestricted free agent. So undrafted free agent, and that's how it works.
Sooner in Texas. Are you serious? That's like blaming cars on drunk driving deaths.
Okay. I mean, it is not having education, and I think the schools do as much as they can do on this, right? I mean,
the rule has been there openly and in place. He knew the damn rules. It has nothing to do with NIL money. It has they've been paying players for longer than the NIL part. First and foremost, players that are this sought after, high level quarterbacks like Brendan Sorsby have been getting paid long since before they introduced NIL to the picture, bud.
Yeah, it's this is why you have. But I will. But what I would say is, it's in reverse, right? This isn't the NIL isn't the cause, right? But you need to have these rules even stronger in place because kids can get themselves in trouble because they actually do have some money to gamble, lose, and start going in down a direction which gets them.
Sure.
Yeah, that's the only thing. But that's for anybody that has any cash.
That's like, but that, again, what are that means that you skirt accountability for the people, for everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Listen, you can't put it on NIL because you're pissed off that people that kids are getting to move around. And guess what? That could stop too if they had
a CBA.
A CBA. Again, we talk about this shit all the time, and everybody wants to jump on the back of the players who don't make a single rule when it comes to the NIL stuff. These are the things. This is the one thing that you can actually put it on that player because he knew the rule. He knew that it was a rule. It's unequivocal. It's against the law in a lot of states. The Hunter Decker situation happened. That he was in trouble with the law. That was a state police in Iowa sting that caught him up in the whole thing. He was bounced from it. These kids know. And this is an accountability thing. It has nothing to do with NIL. I mean, I get it. He's got money to spend and do stupid shit. That doesn't mean that you get, it's like I said, it's like getting rid of cars and blaming cars for drunk driving deaths. Or for you gun control, people that like myself who believe that you should have, your rights to bear firearms. I don't want you blaming my 9mm for me being a dumbass and getting drunk and going and shooting up, anywhere, a shopping mall or school or whatever. It's not the gun's fault. It's the idiot's fault.
We'll leave that conversation for another day.
We should leave that one alone. I don't even know why we brought it up. I said that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we'll leave that alone. But because of the, but you're right.
The NIL is not it.
NIL is a whole different. They've had gambling rules before this. They've had. I mean, again, this goes back to the 1920s, right? This is. I mean, Paul Hornung, Heisman, NFL All-Pro. He started associating with casinos, and the NFL said, "Yeah, you're bounced from everything we do."
Yep.
I mean, that happened. That's why players have always been. Always been disconnected from gambling. And this has always been a hardcore issue. You don't gamble because because of the integrity of the game and the direction it could go. So, like I said, I think Sorsby's purely going to do this. I don't think he can get relief. If I was a judge, I would be like, son, I'm supposed to say that you had the right to illegally do something and support that.
Right.
Logically, how does that work? They're restraining my right to have illegally done something I was not legally supposed to do. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
How does that make any logical sense? What leg do you have to stand on? Now, if he was over 21 and he'd walked into a casino and he played blackjack for 2 hours, right, at a casino on tape, could he win that argument? Yeah, probably, right? If he'd walk,
I don't even know that that's against the law.
I don't know that that's against the rules. I don't think it's against the rules. So it is. But if he's in Vegas and he's dropping $15,000 on Texas Tech to win the Big 12, well, yeah, I mean, that's that you're not supposed to bet on college sports. You are not supposed to bet on college sports. You know that. Everybody knows that, and he can't. And every school he's attended in August has a guy come in from the FBI, law enforcement, and explain the gambling rules and how gambling works.
Right.
So he can't complain. He can't cry ignorance. He can't cry that he's legally being, that they're denying his ability to make a living as a gambling person, because they're like, okay, well, I don't know what. I mean, the Kessler guy is, combination lawyer, money grubber, media whore, whatever you want to call him.
Of course.
So
it sounds like every attorney you know. Come on.
Well, Kay, we'll have to ask Kay Chris about that on
No,
Thursday.
I'm not even. Listen, I'm not even excluding OK Chris here. In fact, I was kind of pointing it at him.
So but yeah, I mean, so I mean, oh, he has this big time lawyer. Well, you can get a big time lawyer to argue anything, right? I mean,
Sure.
for no, as long as,
Hey man, for a price, they'll do it all. Yeah.
exactly, so, but I just don't think, I don't understand.
Like some women binge knows, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I just don't think he has, with the way it's been laid out, I don't think he has much of a leg to stand on. And again, one would like to see a little backbone from Texas Tech in this situation at some point. But I don't think we're going to see that. And they're obvious. I'm stunned at this point that we haven't seen a quarterback
come out and like completely against it, right?
Yeah, I mean, just say, look, this is, we support NCAA rules on gambling. If the evidence supports it, we support the lifetime suspension of Brendan Sorsby, and regardless of whatever legal relief he tries to get, he will not be playing quarter. If the NCAA provides us with the evidence supporting it, he will not be a member of our football team.
Right.
I mean, again, this is it's like I don't get the schools not playing. Some of the schools sometimes pretending that they don't make the decisions, and like, well, we're just well, we know it's against the rules. It'll be like this portal window situation, right? If they lose Sorsby and Tech continues down their current path of just sort of like, well, things just happen. We're not involved, If
here's an example real quick of the sentiment in Lubbock right now. Given that Brendan Sorsby, this is a tweet I'm reading, I'm not going to quite attribute it, but given that Brendan Sorsby was a redshirt freshman when the alleged betting on Indiana football took place, is it reasonable to assume that he could have little to no impact on the outcome for any Indiana game in which he is alleged of wagering on while still on the roster? I mean, that's an assumption. It's definitely an assumption, but
it's a phony assumption.
It is a bullshit assumption because who's to say he doesn't get to somebody else on the team? And
he's not in team meetings. He doesn't have access to the playbook. He doesn't know the strategy of the game.
There's plenty of ways that he could screw that up for his team.
He could screw that up. And if you're betting,
right?
He still has intimate knowledge of game plan, process, everything. So
right, and I agree. I don't think he'll ever play another down in college football. I don't.
No, he shouldn't, and he shouldn't.
No.
I mean, this is he crossed the line that again. So
the best thing that he could do, I think, if he wants to play in the NFL, which is every player's goal in college football, is to play in the NFL. Obviously, especially when you get to the point that if he's that high level of a college football player, according to the money that he's making or was going to make this year, then you have to assume that he wants to be in the NFL. Your best course of action right now is to be apologetic about what's going on.
Mea culpa. This is an addiction. Yes. This is a problem.
The addiction stuff, lean into that one. Say that you're getting help for it, and try to make sure that the NFL doesn't say, "Fuck this guy, we're not doing it."
Yeah, I mean, so exactly. You say, I've violated NCAA rules. My college eligibility is over. This is all about me getting healthy and moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
Done. Then you have people in your corner, right? Because as we know, as you said, from Danny Sheridan and all these other people, and I've talked to some other people. They know some young people who've gotten the online gambling thing's gotten out of hand, right? They have gotten themselves into big trouble. They've gotten themselves into big trouble,
Sure.
And from Gamblers Anonymous exists because gambling's an addiction, right? I mean, if you're, I have to laugh. If you're like, I love the Todd McShay show, but when he was talking, he has this, he has a FanDuel ad at the beginning. He's like, you can bet on the NFL draft. And then his next point, and his last comment is, if you have a gambling addiction, please go, please. And I'm like, dude, if you're betting on the NFL draft, you have a gambling addiction problem.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you're betting on the draft,
no shit.
You have a...
And look, I mean... Yeah, I mean, because at the end of the day, so many things happen, like the draft. I mean, how are you gonna? There's a lot of people that do bet on the draft. It's like betting on preseason games, though. Which backups that you have no idea who they are, and when they're gonna play are gonna.
You're just looking for the juice on anything.
Oh, man. Oh, dude. And listen, I lived in Vegas for 15 years, man. I've seen it and heard of it all. There are people that are wild with it.
It's gotten so bad. So something's so bad. I'll this off-topic story, but it's just something funny. Did you know that the French police busted these guys with a gambling ring where people were betting on the temperature at Charles de Gaulle Airport?
Wow.
And the people winning had a guy with a hairdryer on the temperature sensor that was reading the temps.
Whoa.
I mean, all these business people are in like some super business line betting on the temp at Charles de Gaulle that it's going to go up or down in the next hour. And someone figured this out and got a guy with a hairdryer over the sensor, the temperature sensor that was being used, reporting it throughout the airport.
Listen,
anytime you gamble, someone is going to be looking for an edge. Absolutely. And if a player's gambling... And
look at the whole Tim Donaghy thing. The whole Tim Donaghy thing starts happening. I mean, and if you go, I mean, he's out of prison now, and has been doing the podcast circuit for the last couple of years. You can go get that whole story. He got thrust in. I mean, he was definitely doing some stupid shit. But connections, I mean, they'll come find you. They came and found him.
Yeah, I mean, it's. So if it can be gambled on, somebody is looking for an edge.
Yeah.
This is why the injury report stuff in college needs to get really locked down, right? And this is why, this is why not to go in this topic. This is why the Mateer thumb injury thing, the Chipotle report, this is because his thumb injury was a big gambling thing, right? So. There's small issues. I see Andrew Ledbetter, right? That's what people were doing at Charles de Gaulle Airport, and someone figured it out.
Kalshi has some wild bets.
I mean, you can bet on anything. You used to be able to bet on anything in England, like right. At Ladbrokes. That was the off-track betting thing. They let you gamble on just about anything.
Yeah, little gambling houses.
Yeah. But I mean, I would like to see. Hopefully he will not get any relief from just some bullshit judge who wants to see him play for Tech that fall. But hopefully,
this is where you would hope that Texas Tech steps up and does the right thing.
Yeah, and say he's suspended, guys. The NCAA.
He's never playing for us. He will never play.
He can get relief from the judge all he wants, but we're not playing him.
We're never going to play him. Yeah,
we're never going to play him.
Whatever the courts say, he'll never play at Texas Tech. We've rescinded it all. Yeah. There's a reason for it. We don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no way that unless there's some smoking gun proof that he did nothing, and that which is obvious that all the proof is that he did. Yeah. I mean, it's at the end of the day, that's all you've heard.
He's not filing libel against anybody, right? I mean, he's not filed a libel claim against Pete Thamel. If he was innocent of this, right. I would be filing.
Well, because if you file libel or slander or anything like that, then it opens up everything. Every skeleton in the closet will be put out there. Every one of them.
Yeah, so I don't understand. Again, if I'm Tech, it's like just fall on your sword and just say, "Yep, we completely effed up. We should have vetted this kid." And to be honest, it's a massive lesson for general managers across college football. And I feel I feel much more comfortable with OU's general manager situation as someone who could manage this and manage vetting the guys we're bringing in than like a lot of places.
It does bring that up, and I'll let you get out of here on this. It does bring up the question, though, how and this was brought up at the very start of this, and I think it does bring up the good question of how do you vet somebody without tampering?
No, you're
Because
right. You're right.
you know what are we doing here? I mean, it does scream to the fact that a lot of the rules that are there right now in place are ridiculous, and there's nothing that you can really do about it. And at the end of the day, like, are they really going to do anything to Pete Golding? No way they are. No way they are, because Pete Golding has stuff on Lane Kiffin, and they have stuff on other coaches at LSU, and yada yada. It's everybody. If you're not tampering right now,
You're not
you
doing
have
your job.
zero chance of being successful.
You're not doing your job.
Right. But that begs the question: how do you vet a player
No, you're right.
without tampering? And so if you're tampering to get them, then you should have been able to tamper enough to get all the information, because apparently they did know at Cincinnati.
Right. So if you're, all I'm saying is that if you're, I feel much more confident with Jim Nagy being able to reach out to, if it's a high level player, to some NFL sources and say, "You got anything on this kid?" and a GM to say, you should be looking into this kid. So Jim Nagy has those connections. GMs elsewhere at other college programs don't. Like the guy at Texas doesn't have that kind of gravitas, that kind of background.
Well, no, he's not an NFL. He was with Sark long before he made him GM. So it's not even the same type of deal, right?
It's right.
No.
But if you're Kirby Smart or someone who has complete
Kirby
control,
Smart's a GM.
his own GM. If you're
GM.
Kirby, if you're Kirby, you're like,
right.
If I'm UGA's AD, I'm telling Kirby, what are you doing to vet? And
He didn't bring in Mateer there, Benji.
Yeah, so
that was already done when he got there. So shut up.
Well, and it's just not. And
again, it ain't the same. He's just busting chops because it's another damn Texas fan.
Yeah, I mean, again, Benji, you've made some great comments today. Just leave the silly ones alone, right? So
it's too fun to not do it. But at the end of the day, I think that it just points to every time we have a conversation about the NCAA, you hear me say it. Every time you hear me say it. These things are not going away until there's a CBA. None of it.
May not always agree with you, Jason, but you are damn consistent in your approach.
I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think that there's anything that they can do about the gambling stuff. No matter what, you could fight it all you want to. I think that there's precedent been set, and there's laws against it all over the country already. There's nothing that this kid's never going to play another down. He's not in college football. What he does at the next level, we'll see. But I think a lot of it will depend on what he does next. At the end of the day, though, if you want control of how these things are being handled, and you want to see the NCAA stop getting beat to death in everything, CBA, because that's the only way you're going to get antitrust. Everybody in Congress has made that completely clear. The Supreme Court has made it clear that without a CBA, you will never have antitrust protection.
Yeah, that's what they need. So, all right, Jason, I'm going to bounce off. I think we've beaten this gambling horse to death. And I will see you on Thursday, if not before.
Appreciate you, my guy. Talk to you soon. We'll see you tomorrow for sure. Bye-bye. Chris Mason from Sooners 360. Make sure you guys get over there and subscribe to his channel. Become a member of his. Hey, for you Sooner fans that are jonesing without, the OU insiders anymore, now that Parker Thune has moved on over to the Scoop. You should definitely be changing out your subscription to Sooners 360. It's only $2 a month. A lot of information coming from him on recruiting. If you're a recruiting guy and you're not doing that, you're crazy. So, all right. Yeah, they'll turn the gun toward the betting apps taking illegal bets from a minor. Sure. Okay. Are you're talking about what Tech's going to do? At the end of the day, he still made bets though. No matter how you slice this, there's no way he should ever play in college football again. Yeah. Oh, I know. I agree with that. Yeah. You're good. You're good, Vinci. I was just busting your truck. Uh, I don't know anything, but I listen. I don't know anything about it other than what you've seen that everybody can see right there on Twitter. What's on three that they've put out there. I know Brandon posted a letter to on Twitter. I don't know where he's going. In fact, I don't. He said that all I saw is that he said that he was going to. He believes it's his calling and he's going to stick with it. But I don't think he has a job anywhere or anything like that. And the contract was up with on three that they had, so OU Insider is basically defunct. They're done. He announced that he was leaving too, so they were all leaving. Um, I'm betting the under of 5 of the number of appearances Norman gets this year. Ooh, well, let's go easy on that since that's the kind of stuff that got me the strike last week. Let's not do any betting on this channel. All right, appreciate it. Um, Thunder now works for Sooner Scoop. Who the hell's Thunder? Nobody's crying about Drum or Thune. I could care less. Um, they definitely shouldn't cry for Thune. He's good. Uh, anyway, yeah. Oh, Thune. Yeah, Thune. Yes, he's with Thune. The one thing I will say about that, I don't care about any of this, to be honest with you. I'm surprised by it because even Parker talked about it in his little write up that he did, talking about why he ended up there. Um, so uh, the all the arguments that he and public sparring that he's done with not just George Stoya but with Kerry Murdoch as well over the years is it makes it kind of surprising that would have happened. But hey, good for him. Good for him and good for the Scoop guys. I mean, you know, I've been wondering. I'd love to ask. Nah, I'm gonna shut up. Anyway, now Norman's right here. I'm gonna grab him in just a second. I'm gonna take a quick break for the restroom, and I'll be right back. Um, and I'll bring Norman out so he can see everybody. It has been a while, so give me just 1 second. I'm gonna take a quick bathroom break. Check out these words from.
Mason, happy to have you.
Oh, wrong one.
Sure, appreciate it. Hope you feel the same. Yeah.
Want a more comfortable way to breathe through your nose, put an end to dental issues caused by mouth breathing, and stop snoring? Meet Intake Breathing. This simple magnetic system is designed to support easy, comfortable nose breathing at night, during workouts, and throughout your day. It's quick to apply, comfortable to wear, and built for real life. Better comfort, better routine, and better breathing. Scan the QR code and get 15% off your Intake Starter Kit today. Visit Intake Breathing to learn more. All right, here, come on. He's back. This big lug, Norman, back in the house. He was just snoring over there. I need to get an intake for him. Make sure you guys. Has anybody tried it out for you snorers out there? Has anybody tried that out? All right, go lay down. Get back. Let's see. Do I like the 5 for 5? What, huh? Live stream what leak? Dude is now the co-host of the Bozcast, one of my new favorite podcasts. I saw, yeah, he was doing that before he announced that, even though, which is kind of wild, right? So pretty crazy. You know why you aren't surprised? It's because the term reporter insider is used by so many who never went to journalism school. It's just a new day. True. Some of those guys did go to J school, though, by the way. And I'm not going to tell you that Parker didn't, because I don't know if he did. I know he went to OU, and I think he may have went to J school, but I don't know. Yeah. I also think that Shannon Terry from On3 had something to do with brokering that peace agreement and having that happen. So, yeah. Yeah. Duke, I think he's a pissant, but that's just my opinion. So is Drum. To RJ Young's show, yeah, I don't know about all that. Stephen Garrett, new to the channel. Good to see you, my guy. Um, thank you for coming in, and I hope you stick around and have some fun. Uh, Drum to RJ Young's show. Maybe they're buddies, but I don't. You think that he's gonna get Fox to like hire him on, because that's part of Fox, right? I mean, has something to do with Fox. I'm not. He does work for Fox, but the channel, the YouTube channel, doesn't have any Fox branding going on with it. And I know he does work for Fox, but Stephen A. Smith works for ESPN, and his podcast has nothing to do with ESPN. So RJ is unwatchable now. Um, yeah, I don't hate on RJ as much as I know a lot of people do. I know a lot of Oklahoma fans were pissed off at him when he left, and for the way that and if you listen to Ryman Lemon has talked about it in the past, of how he kind of treated a lot of Oklahoma fans. There's a lot of people that were pissed at him. Um, I don't think that I didn't pay that much attention. He does have some kind of weird takes sometimes, and it feels like he thinks he knows about more stuff than I think he knows sometimes. But I will say I have a lot of respect for RJ, because he came up from basically what I'm doing, and became huge. Was able to cross over into major media, even though he was a reporter for that radio guy before that. It all kind of got there, right? But he definitely goes off on some weird tangents and says some weird stuff sometimes. And so the step mill thing is kind of weird. I don't, but it's not. It's funny, but it's not that funny. And if you don't know it going back a long time ago, I don't know why you would still say it if you're him, because it doesn't make sense. But on the fence with so many, yeah. I think that as an OU fan, and like, if I'm watching him thinking he's an OU fan, it would bother me the way he seems to kind of support Texas sometimes, to be quite honest with you. You know, he's pro Big Ten, then tries to big up OU and the SEC. Just hypocritical. Quit being fans of conferences and just make takes about individual teams already. Okay. Yeah, but you can't be a fan and present yourself as a fan and then act like you're not one. And everybody knew that he was that. Love Barry and Mac. I wonder if that is affected by that, because they had to deal with OU Insider. So I wonder what's going to happen there. Very bandwagony. Yeah. People make fun of how short he is, Bevo. Oh, yeah. He talks, yes, correct. That's not the reason that they hate him, though. By the way, it may be part of it, but I would tell you that part of it is that he feel the to hear Ryman Lemon talk about it. They as fans they supported his channel and helped him get to where he got, and then he's kind of shit on him since then. The interaction with the fan base isn't. It's always just the fist emoji that he puts up there whenever somebody puts anything there, and I don't think there's a lot of interaction with this fan base anymore. That they feel like they got him to where he was, and then he just kind of shit on him and forget about him. I don't know what it is either. I don't. I got to RJ before he got to Fox, but it wasn't much before. He was in the gym on a step mill when OU beat Ohio State and he went live. Oh, okay. What? I don't know what that means. Oh, are they? Are they going to Scoop as well? Their show was definitely the best thing about OU Insider, in my opinion. Barry Mack are the shit, man. They're one of my favorite OU pods. Period. Love listening, and the fact that they're pretty straightforward with their opinions, similar to how I am. So I'm big fan of DMAC and Barry too. I like them both. I think they're great. I was listening to their podcast for a long time before they even took it to YouTube. So love it. Awesome stuff. Yeah, he says the step mill bit because people make fun of how short he is. Yeah. He's been talking a lot about his wrestling days and his competitive bike riding and stuff now a lot. So RJ and Joel Klatt have changed so much since OU joined the SEC. Yeah. What do you think about all big money got in TV? Oh, shoot. Yeah, it's on the way, Coach Ricks. Hold on 1 second. Headed your way. 1 second here. Going to be bringing in Coach Ricks. Yeah. How did we end up talking about RJ Young and the Scoop and the Insider guys? You guys know how I felt about the OU Insider crew. It hasn't changed. So I don't care about any of that stuff. No. No. Actually, I probably would. Yeah. I probably would actually if it got to that. I'll be honest with you. I think that look. We're going to continue talking about that a little bit, but I would tell you now that it's such a bad deal. It's a bad deal at the end of the day. It has to. That somebody has to fix this. So if Texas Tech doesn't step up and keep that from happening, then they got a problem. I think that they're gonna. It's going to be even worse, right? Let's see. What was that? Oops. Hold on real quick. Let me talk Coach Ricks. All right. Yeah. Barry and DMAC they're awesome for sure. Drum seems to have an unnatural attachment to being right or looking as if often muted. Whatever, bro. I'm not going there with all that stuff. Yeah, I got to tell you, I stopped watching their show real early on. Real early on. No, this is a no. One thing that we didn't bring up about this, I like this because according to apparently Brett Yormark has made it clear that they will not reinstate Brendan Sorsby at all, no matter what Tech wants to do about it. So now that would obviously fall under the purview of whatever the lawsuit is or whatever like that. But if it was to somehow, that would end up getting fast tracked. The trial would happen. It wouldn't just be like an injunction type of thing. That would have to happen. And again, I don't see this. There's no way this goes before any judge and jury or however it ends up, or all the way to the Supreme Court. There's no way that would be allowed. There's just no way. Just no way. All right. Hey, thank you. Appreciate that, Brandon Snake. You know what? I have had DMAC on the show before, and Barry's been on a couple of times as well. I haven't talked to him much lately, but I'd be willing to do that for sure. Be willing to do that for sure. I actually need to talk to Barry because I think I did a super chat one night when Roy Williams had said anybody who did that, he would sign a picture and send it to him, and then Barry and Matt could get it to me or whatever, and he never did send it, or I haven't gotten it. So I need to get a hold of those guys about that anyway. So, because I'd like to have my picture of Roy, signed picture of Roy. What's the line on at the end of the day? What's the line on who says at the end of the day more? Jason or Cousin Shane? Am I up there with Cousin Shane on it? Maybe I have to find the new words. Thanks. All right. Yeah, you were. That's right. Yep. That was cool. Okay. Damn it. I gotta send that again. Would it be that tight, guys? Damn. All right. I'm gonna stop saying that then. I appreciate you guys keeping me honest on stuff like that. Don't let me sound like a clown. Not that I'm saying Cousin Shane's like that. I like Cousin Shane quite a bit. He's a good guy. All right. Let's see. Roy Williams, not that Roy Williams. I know him too, though. By the way, I met him when I was a reporter in Midland, Texas, because he was from Odessa. I know things about him too. He was a hell of a player, though. He damn sure was. I will still be doing content on the SEC. Don't get me into the stuff about Dent right now because it's a sore subject. But not to worry, we will continue to do content on the SEC. Coming into the show, my guy from Coach's Talk. We got Coach Ricks in the show. What's up, Coach Ricks?
What's going on, big dog?
What up, man? We were just talking a little bit about obviously the Brendan Sorsby stuff, but it's moved into different conversation about like the OU insider guys and then Barry and Mac most recently. But yeah. So
man, that's I listened to you guys talk, man. That was some pretty good shit right there, man. You guys was talking about.
Yeah, listen. I mean, I guess I would ask you the same thing. What are your thoughts about it? That he's hiring an attorney as he is at the end. I feel like you know, it,
It's a waste of your money. It's the waste of your money.
great take, great take.
Waste of your money. Look, you
Yeah.
can't emphasize and support something, and then when it don't work in your favor, you want to try to go find a back door to try to correct what you did wrong. I mean, even as a coach, man, there are certain things that we can't do on social media, certain things that we can't conduct ourselves. And when I do that, the consequences go along with it. If I get called or do whatever, I mean, even as a coach, I can't gamble. I can't gamble on games and everything. And if I get caught, I'll never coach again. I mean,
A
that's just the way
Towboy
it
at
goes.
Oklahoma, a Towboy at Oklahoma can't do it either. If you're
No,
part of the
part of the
organization at
staff,
all,
you
you
can't.
can't be any part of it. No.
But Jason, you missed one key thing. When you sign your contract or whatever you sign, it's in bold letters, and you always have that personal staff or that publicist or whoever supports you in that area tells you. There's always a lawyer there. There's always a lawyer there that tells you the ins and outs, your legal rights and your financial rights and everything like that. You know going in what you cannot do. You do that and get caught. That's on your ass. That's on you. Now, if you want to spend a lawyer, I mean, get a lawyer and waste that money, I'm pretty sure he's gonna take it. Knowing good and damn well that there's nothing that you can do to get around that, and the NCAA is not going to budge on this. This is,
No, you can't. There's laws against the shit to
yeah,
begin with. Number one, he may or may not have broken the law according to. I mean, if the site he was using is a 21 and over site, that's breaking a law already that he used it.
yeah,
So there could be that he didn't apparently break the law according to uh, supposedly so far he hadn't broken the law yet because they don't have I forget what it was that they had said that it wasn't that he was going to be criminally in trouble, but turns out they probably could go back and figure something out where he did if it's under 21 and he in the state of Ohio where he was doing it for the balls and strikes thing, that could be a thing. And I'm guessing that it probably is under 21. He's
yeah.
at a Reds game betting balls and strikes. I mean, brother, what are you doing?
You
You know
you
what I
can't
mean?
do that.
You know what
That
I mean? Like
what you said earlier,
it's a
man, is
bad
so
look.
true. So true. Is that no matter how he looks at it, it's the perception of what it's the perception pretty much one of how it looks. Two and
Yeah,
everything.
the integrity of your sport
Yeah,
is at risk here.
yeah,
This is truly we can talk about paying players versus players moving around and there's everybody's got different opinions on all that shit,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
We have Sooner in Texas in here telling me how if it wasn't for NIL, you wouldn't this wouldn't have happened. Bullshit. There's
You're gonna gamble
because
regardless.
again, let's just remember that players have been getting paid for a lot longer than NIL's been
No,
around,
it's not.
especially top level players such as Brendan Sorsby, right?
Yeah,
You were going to get paid, and it didn't
yeah,
matter school you were at. By the way, that was going on. Make no mistake about it. But at the end of the day, personal personal accountability is at stake here, and the integrity of your sport is at stake.
yeah. Well, you
You
gotta
know,
look at it like this. Just because he wasn't there doesn't. I always tell people and everything, man. I had some guys that were betting online and thought since they used somebody else's computer that it wouldn't get back to them. And if you really want to find out what he did, they're gonna find out what he did.
well, they have an app now that they're all supposed to have on their phone, so that if they
Oh
even
yeah,
download any of those apps, a
it
betting
sends a
app,
red flag off.
it lets them go. It lets them know.
Yeah,
There's lots of things that have been put in place to make sure that, but it's like and Mr. Mason was talking about the fact that in the NFL, their investigators find out everything, no matter if it's
oh yeah,
public record or not. If you got something shady in your past, you're gonna know. That's what I feel like the best thing for him to do, and we were just talking about this at the end. The best thing for him to do if he wants to continue his football career, forget Texas Tech, forget college football. I understand you don't want to take a $5 million hit. Your best thing to do is to be contrite and show that you are, understanding what you did was wrong and sorry for what you did, and have an opportunity to go play in the NFL where you can really make money if you are that guy.
Yeah,
Because at the end of the day, the longer you fight this, the worse it's going to look to those guys in the NFL that they don't have to draft you. They don't have to sign you.
that's the key point right there. And man, look, I feel sorry for the young man, man, but at the same
That
point in
was the
time,
point you were making. You said if without the NIL money, he wouldn't have been able to do it.
look,
Sooner in Texas.
it's just going to
Busting
backfire
my
on him.
chops, buddy.
It's just going to backfire on him. That's all it is. You
Yeah,
can sit
look,
there and do whatever you want to do.
at the end of the day, they're going to have to be. I mean, look, this is one thing that, I never, ever am on the side of the NCAA. This isn't even on the side of the NCAA so much. And I can agree that it's hypocritical to act like, to get in bed with gambling companies and sports books and stuff like that. And, as far as advertising is concerned and money and revenue for college football, for the NFL, for the NBA, for all of them, it looks bad.
Yeah.
And at the same time that, that you can outlaw it. But there's no way that you can make me believe that they don't know that it's against the rules for them.
Yeah.
We know that they do. They know that they do. And he's admitting that he was gambling by going to rehab.
Yeah, that's the one, man, that gets me, is that why would you hire a lawyer when you already made the effort to correct something that you did wrong? So, hey,
Yeah. Listen, I understand that. And a lawyer any lawyer, especially a guy like Kessler, he's going to take your case.
yeah,
It's going to line his pockets. That's billable hours, bud. You
yes,
know what I mean? And he likes being out there and grandstanding for shit like this. At the end of the day, Texas Tech needs to do the right thing and say there's no way he's going to ever be on our right. He will never play football at Texas Tech. No matter what a judge says, Texas Tech must say that he will never play, and he should never play there.
they need to separate themselves from him real quick.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
hey,
Let's move on off of this. Let's talk about something else. Kirby Smart. Kirby Smart the other day talking about and basically labeling the Big Ten the kings of college football above his own Georgia Bulldogs and everybody else, and blaming NIL, like Sooner in Texas,
please.
for everything that ails college football. Kirby has definitely been on the side of that. I think that he got a taste of being able to kind of be dominant the way that they were at Alabama. He talked about that in this conversation that he had on the
Yeah.
next round. I guess that was I think it was on Friday that he was talking about that. Where, he's talking about how those teams at Alabama and his teams at the, 2018, 2019, obviously his championship teams would blow away any team in the in college football right now because of the fact of the depth, that the concentrated amount of depth that you could have before all this NIL stuff. And I would agree with him to an extent on that because it has spread out the talent throughout the country. There's
Yeah.
no other way that Indiana finds a way to win without NIL and the portal and being able to bring guys in. And the fact is that, but there's still going to be, there's money. It's, everybody can use it. It's legal to do it. Yes, he was also saying NIL money, get the F out of here. He just made a bad choice. He did. I agree.
Well, here's the thing, Jason.
Some of them aren't.
It's the portal. It's not the NIL money. It's the portal. Is now you don't have those.
But it is
13,
NIL
14.
money.
Yeah, to a
with
point.
the portal. The portal.
Yes.
Listen, at the end of the day, the NIL money is why the portal is so prolific right now, and
Exactly.
it is being used, right? Because
Yes.
and it's why the NCAA hasn't been able to control the portal
Control
and
it.
put any stipulations on it, because they threw in. I always find this part funny, that the NCAA is the one that tried to throw NIL as a blanket
Yeah.
solution to the
Sure.
problem that they had whenever it went before the Supreme Court, and Kavanaugh raked him over the coals about it
Yep.
in the Alston case. So when that all went down, or no, I think it was in the, or was it the case that, it wasn't the Alston case. It was the case with the basketball player from UCLA,
Oh,
the O'Bannon
O'Bannon.
case.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Ed
O'Bannon.
O'Bannon.
So it was that case. But that, I mean, he raked them over the coals about their, quote, labor practices and all that other stuff because of the whole deal, and it's the same reason that you ended up not having the college football game for all those years. All that stuff was going on. But he raked them over the coals. They threw NIL as a blanket to do everything, didn't put any stipulations with it. But once again, I'll tell you that, a CBA would fix a lot of those problems. But right now, the reason that they can't win any of these court battles is because you can't, they've said, a bunch of courts have said, you can't limit their ability to make money in NIL
Yeah.
by, going to somewhere that they can play. So Kirby's not able to stack them deep like they were able to at Alabama while he was there.
That's the key word.
And he was able to do whenever he first got to Georgia as well.
Yeah.
So while he still maintained his level of success, they're back-to-back SEC champions. I think that they, look, do I believe that they could have won the Natty last year? I do. I think they're probably the team that, hell, Miami could have beaten Indiana too. So let's not act like it would have been out of the realm of possibility to beat Indiana. Indiana did win it. And Indiana wouldn't have won it without the NIL. I'll give him that part. I understand what he's saying. But at the end of the day, I'm going to stop saying that. When you get that right down to it, though, you have to know that, yeah, it has a lot to do with it. It does. But I also I don't know how much I believe that it's really superior. I think at the top, they've won the last
top
three.
Heavy.
Well, but why is it top heavy? Why is it that they've won it, though? I think that you have to look at it more than just the NIL. I think you have to realize that they have found what they've done in the last 3 championship years, and you have to go back and look at this. Michigan did it first. They retained a team that had a lot of experience on it.
Okay.
And Dave's here. Tell me what the name of that was that they were talking about. They had some kind of a campaign for boosters to retain them for one more year to come back. They came back. They won the Natty. Ohio State, as much as people want to talk about their recruiting at number 1 and all that other stuff, and Jeremiah Smith was obviously a true freshman and all that. But if you look at the reason that they really won it, Will Howard transfer, a lot of experience playing, right? You have, what was his name? Judkins comes in as a running back. They retained a lot of their guys that were there. The bulk of that defense was retained, but they were also able to bring in, the safety from Alabama. Why am I forgetting his name? He just went to the Cowboys. Anyway, you know who I'm talking about.
I got
These guys,
something.
But it's the same thing as and let me just finish. Indiana did the same thing. They went and got a bunch of guys that had been around for a long time. Their average age was 23 last year on that team, right? Yeah, Caleb Downs. Sorry. They had Caleb Downs. They had, they went and got studs, right? So when you start looking at that, you had a lot of experienced talent in the room. They paid their money towards that. The money was there, but they were able to use it, the NIL, right? Same thing that Indiana did. Signetti comes, he brings his entire team from JMU that was any good, and then he goes and supplements that with some other good players from around the country. Fernando Mendoza, who had been playing at Cal, ends up winning the Heisman and being the number 1 pick. They had really good runs. They had guys that their average age was 23. So what you're seeing them doing, it's not just the NIL. It's also the fact that you can go out there and win a championship with guys that have a lot of experience, right?
Yeah.
That experience used to come from the depths whenever, when Bama was doing it all the time, or Kirby's teams, those dudes were experienced in a different way. They'd been sitting there going through the system in their system for 3 years, and then they finally got their shot or whatever, And so that's the thing. But now you can play them earlier, but there's a lot of guys that are making a lot of money going to a new program at the towards the end of their career and taking a shot. Look at Dylan Gabriel when he went to Oregon. That was year 6 for him of
Yeah.
getting to play year 6. If the NCAA passes 5 years to play 5 years, the NCAA high average is over. Well, it could still be 23, bro. You could play 5 years from 18 on. You could still be upwards of 23 years old, which is fine. The point is, yeah, you're not going to see a bunch of 25 and 26-year-olds anymore.
This is
Go
what I was
ahead.
going to say, Jason, and I had someone bring this up, and it could be stretching. It could be stretching, but someone mentioned in the comment and everything is that me and my brother-in-law, we broke this down. And he argues about it. I don't agree with it, but there's some truth to it, to a little bit. Is that when you play teams like Illinois, Northwestern, and all these teams that are it seems like that Big Ten protects their top of the level teams, let them play all the weak players and weak teams, and then
You've
when
heard
it's
that from here too, buddy.
hold on,
I've been saying
and
it.
then when you get to the CFP, your guys are protected because they're not hurt, they're not broken down, they're not. I don't want to use the word battle tested, but they are battle tested, but they're not hurt. When you're in the SEC, you are battling every single damn week. You're going to get hurt. You're going to get injured. You're not going to have your guys at the end of the season like you would in the beginning of the season. So it might be stretching, but I'm just saying when you have all your starters and 6-year starters or super seniors as they want to call them, and then you go into the playoffs and everybody's already hurt and battered, and you're coming in strong. I'm not going to say a disadvantage, but at some point in time and everything, we're going to have to
Well,
start saying if you're going to be in the Big Ten and if you're playing all the low level teams,
mhm.
that has to be a criteria in there somehow, some way, and everything, man, to where you're going to have to start playing teams and everything, man, like everyone else is, versus just coming here playing teams that might have a record of 4-25 and everything. And then you get there, and when you get there, you get the easy route because you're a number one or number two or whatnot, and you're not playing the teams and everything like everybody else is. Now, maybe I might be stretching, but I'm just saying it's not evenly fair over the rakes and everything when you have teams in the SEC playing 9 games of powerhouse teams every single week. And then you have Ohio State or Michigan or who it may be playing Illinois, playing Northwestern, playing all these sorry ass Syracuse, all these sorry ass teams, but then they're getting a free ride to the top. I think that's very unfair. And that's just my take.
No, I don't think you're wrong. Part of what I was saying too. That's you're right. Definitely, we've talked about this ad nauseum in the past on this channel. Look, and I think that the NFL draft from just now 2 weeks ago is further proof, or a little over a week ago, further proof of the fact that the SEC is still stronger, spread out amongst more teams.
Yeah.
At the top, I agree that the Big Ten. Look, the Big Ten runs college football right now at the top. There's no doubt about it. They've won 3 in a row. I just explained why I believe that is. The NIL has something to do with it. I think that's what Kirby was saying, and then that's what I want to go back to what S4L was saying. Kirby was inferring that the SEC grind beats your team up, just like what you just said. And the Big Ten, you get a break. They're more fresh at the end of the season. Absolutely. And if you look at Indiana, they played exactly 2 really good teams last year
Yeah.
in going on the
Oregon.
road and beating Oregon.
Oregon.
And then they didn't really play another ranked team out.
Into the
They didn't.
into the Big Ten championship, Ohio State.
Correct.
That's
Now,
it.
they struggled with Penn State. Penn State was good coming into the season. Obviously, when James Franklin left, it turned into a complete shit show. But at the end, I mean, when we start talking about there was talent in Happy Valley, obviously. You know what I mean? So that was another decent team that they played. But really, other than that, you're playing the Purdue's of the world and the Northwesterns, as you know. I think S4 went on to say that they don't get to play Purdue in Illinois in Illinois and Northwestern and Syracuse
And
and,
UCLA,
and
Stanford, Minnesota. I mean,
UCLA. Yeah, UCLA, Wisconsin's been bad. Michigan State's not good. I mean, they're all Nebraska's not good. If Nebraska's middle of the road in the Big Ten at this point, they suck. They have been. You
I
know,
can say this: you can put Mississippi State in the Big Ten, and those guys right there that you just
I've said
mentioned,
before, Mississippi State.
Illinois,
That's
and
there's a difference with them, but this year. But I agree with you. Yeah, yeah.
you can put them in there, and they'll be amongst the big dogs because it's the physicality that you have in the SEC going day and day, week and week. It's not the same in the Big Ten, and I'm not trying to say the Big Ten. I don't want nobody saying, "Oh, coach, you throwing excuses." It's not an excuse. I'm trying to show that this is facts that some people else has been talking about. It's not just me. You can't protect Ohio State and Oregon and all these teams. Let them play just two ranked teams the whole damn season. But then let's just use South Carolina for instance. South Carolina played 6 or 7 top 20 teams last year. So yes, you're gonna have some losses and everything. It ain't even close. You put South Carolina ass in there. Those teams that we just mentioned, they'll do the same damn thing. They'll dog walk their ass. So don't sit here and say that they won't do it.
Right.
So
Agreed. No, I agree. And at the end of, but here's the thing: when you look at, there's two sides of it. You could think, well, they're not going to be as battle tested, and that was my feelings going in. But if you've got a beat up roster, which I'm not going to say that was necessarily the case with Georgia, they did have some injuries when they got to the playoff, but they got beat by a team that almost beat them in the regular season in Ole Miss, right? Um, that knocked them out of the Sugar Bowl. The year before that, they got beat by a team that played for the national championship in Notre Dame. So I think had they beaten Ole Miss, I assume that they get there, that they make it the rest of the way, and maybe they get to the championship. You never know. But what I would tell you is that I believe that Miami can win it. It may not be an SEC team, but I can tell you that I think that there's other teams that should be able to win. My question is, how long are you going to continue to have deeper teams, or not deeper teams, but a deeper league, I should say, as far as talent's concerned, that you could get beat every week if you don't find a way to win a natty this year? Is it time to win one right now? Or you start, or is it going to become a problem for the SEC if they don't win one this year? Because that's what you're hearing on like Locked On SEC and some of these other outlets right now, is that
and
you have to do it.
until it changes on the Big Ten side, it's gonna be a 80-20 thing. I mean, it's just gonna be that until and they're not gonna fix it because it benefits them in the long run. The same way that if you allow the SEC to pick their schedule and have everyone play the low level teams in the SEC, it would be the same way. So it ain't it. Greg Sankey is trying to do it the right way. I don't think the Big Ten Commission really cares. He's just like, I want if I can get 3 of my teams in the CFP, that's what I'm going to do.
Right.
So I mean, it's and Stephen, if you want to say Oklahoma was in the Big 12, right? That's your opinion. I'm just saying Texas was in there. Oklahoma State at that point in time was relevant. We can sit here and say every team has their top level teams and low level teams. I'm just saying that the Big Ten, out of 20 teams that they have on their conference, there's only 4 or 5 good ones. The rest of them are terrible. So that's all I'm saying. So if you want to say that, that's fine.
Right. Right. There's the top four, and then there's the rest of them. There, you know better than that. You guys can sit there and say that all you want to, but that same Mississippi State team that you're talking about did everything but beat Tennessee and Texas last year. They were a defense away from being a really good team, and that was before Kamario Taylor got there or became the starter. And he's a game changer type. Look, if you can all of it, and look, I'm not saying that you can't get good at Wisconsin. They've got a hell of a coach. There's no reason why they shouldn't be able to get good. The money has to be spent, and you have to do the right things to do it. You have to be a good coach and get the right things. But you can't sit there and tell me that the bottom of that league is as good as the SEC. And if you can sit there and say that all you want, but the truth is the draft says otherwise.
Yeah.
20 additional players from the SEC got drafted in comparison to the Big Ten. And it's like that every year.
Yeah. It common sense sinks in.
And I mean, I will defer to you that at the top, the Big Ten has been better. What I'm not going to do is sit here and tell you that you are better all the way through, because it's not true. It's not true. Even at the next level down, I would tell you the next level down was probably Michigan last year. You've got your top four. I think Michigan was right below that, in USC. USC lost to freaking TCU. And Michigan got beat by Oklahoma.
You know what I'm gonna do, Jason, sometime this week. I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I'm gonna take one team from the SEC and one team from the Big 10
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna switch their schedules. And I'm just gonna
And go
see
through and see what you
and,
think would do.
and go through and
Do it right
let the
now.
people
Let's do it right now.
and let the people in the comments
I'll tell you
dictate
what.
who they think they will win. Because until we start to look at this shit side by side, you're not gonna. I mean, you can sit here and be a Big Ten homer and say, "Oh no," I mean, I get it, but I'm saying you're gonna have to look at it from an aspect of every week. Every week, there is no bye week. There is no I'll get a
Well, I'll
rest.
tell you this much. I don't think that Indiana, not this past year, they did all. I mean, they did their thing. I'm not shitting on Indiana, but I
No,
would tell you the first year that they made the playoff, their schedule was so bad then that they played one good team in the regular season. Ohio State got drug, and then they played another good team in the first round of the playoff, got drug in that too. They wouldn't have won. They wouldn't have won as many games as Florida won that year, which was like 7. You're talking about Florida and Mississippi State and all them. This Steven dude, uh, get
yeah, I
out of
mean,
here.
well, I mean, like I said, I mean that's his prerogative, man. I mean, like I said, I don't waste my time no more on people when they talk outside their ass and everything. I don't, I don't. That's his opinion.
I'll tell you
I'm
this
just
right now. Kentucky, yes, and I'll tell you this with Will Stein and the players that he brought in, because he did bring in some guys. They're already Kentucky's been an offense away from being decent.
it's
Mississippi
quarterback
State's
play.
been a
They've had
defense
terrible
away.
quarterback play.
Terrible, awful, in a bad system to run it into. They could run the ball, couldn't throw it at all. But Mississippi State was the opposite. Like we said, without Zach Arnett, their defense was terrible.
Yeah.
But with Blake Shapen, they were putting up 40 plus points a game. So let's not talk. I mean, at the end of the day, wait and see what Kentucky looks like this year. Because he brought in, look, I think that going and getting uh, the quarterback from Notre Dame that was the backup this last year. He was close, Kenny Minchie. He was really
Kenny,
close to getting that job over CJ Carr and didn't get it, but they felt like they would have won with him too, just as much. You know what I mean? And I agree with that because he's actually a multiple. You know, he can beat you multiple ways. He can beat you with his legs too, and he's a good thrower. But here's the deal: they've got the toughest schedule in the SEC coming up. Their schedule, it may look bad once it's all said and done, but watch Kentucky beat some teams and screw up their chances to get in the playoff this year. Watch them do it. Watch Mississippi State do the same thing.
here's the thing, man. It's funny. We talk about how the Big Ten protects their top. You got some teams, I'm not saying no names, that are trying to get out of trying to get out of playing good teams because they don't want to take their chance of getting the loss. USC trying to get rid of some games so they won't get that loss. I think that's very. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's not competitive football no more. It's trying to move the needle in order for you to get a leg up to where I don't want to play any good teams until we get to the CFP. And I think that's you're depriving a team that's battle tested, that's done all these things. If you're going to be USC and you're going to avoid playing 3 good teams so you can get to the damn CFP, I would take a team that has 2 losses that's been battle tested and has 6 or 7 good good games over USC because you can't run from competition. You cannot run from competition, and that's what I don't like about the Big Ten, man. I mean, it's just some teams and everything, man. They don't want to play nobody.
Yeah. Before both, the question that Seawalt, welcome into the show, Seawalt. Good to see you. What do the out of conference records show? They were 14-2. The SEC was 14-2 against non-conference
Oh
Power
yeah.
Four
Oh yeah.
opponents.
Oh yeah.
14-2. Bowl season comes around. Everybody wants to talk about bowl season only when they win, Only when it behooves your argument that you're better. The Big Ten's record in bowls was really good. Aside from the teams that went into the playoff, you had a bunch of guys playing G5 opponents and shit in bowl games, like New Mexico, like Boise, like Western Michigan. Bowls don't mean shit.
Hey man,
Bowls don't mean shit. If it's not a playoff game, it don't matter.
that's it.
It don't matter.
That's what it comes down to now.
We all
That's what it
know
comes down
that
to.
these days. We all know that. In the regular season, when there were non-conference games being played, the SEC dominated. That's just the end of it.
Hey man, it's okay. Like I said, people gonna say what they want to say, and that's okay. But I'm saying when you look at ball games and when you do the eye test and you look at some of these teams, it ain't even close. You put
But you can't
Illinois.
concentrate it as much as you used to. And again,
No,
I'm going to tell you that they've built teams that were unbelievably good. You got
yeah,
to take your hat out to Kurt Signetti for what he did with that freaking football team.
yes,
Unbelievable. And everybody knows that Ohio State could beat the top of the SEC any year,
yep.
including before NIL. They were bringing in just the same amount of players from Urban Meyer. I mean, back to Jim Tressel. They were winning then too. Urban Meyer was getting the same dudes that he was getting when he was at Florida. That's the reason. I mean, look, let's not get it twisted. We know what Ohio State is.
That's a
Same thing
powerhouse.
goes for Michigan. When Michigan's on, Michigan can win.
Yes,
They're the real deal. If USC isn't being coached by a dumbass, they can win.
is man.
Don't
Look,
get it twisted. And for that matter, so can Oregon, but they haven't yet. But they can build a program that can win national championships. There's no doubt about that. I'm still waiting for. I got to see Indiana do it again before I believe it's going to happen a bunch with teams like that because they
that
were it's.
that that's not gonna
I
happen
think it's
again.
an anomaly
That's not gonna
overall
happen again.
because it's the right place for the right guy at the right time and the right
Everything fell.
backing
Everything
as well. Right.
everything fell in place the way it was supposed to for them. Everything fell in place. And sometimes, man, you need luck. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you, you need luck and you need some things happen and fall in your favor for you to move on to the next level. That's the way football is. It ain't all about X's and O's. You got to get lucky sometimes. And that's okay, as long as you win. But to sit here and say that the bottom half of the Big Ten can be competitive with the bottom half of the SEC is crazy as hell because you're battle tested every single week in the SEC. And I'm not trying like there again, I'm not trying to say the Big Ten is sorry. I'm just saying the top heavy teams are always protected. If you go
No.
look at it, they play
Look,
two or three at the most competitive games all season.
I will say that looking at their schedule, if you look at the composite schedule this year, they definitely, because of the strength of schedule metric that got introduced as it being more important, it's the reason that they went to the 9-game SEC schedule, which was stupid, by the way, for the SEC to do until they raised it up to a 16-team CFP or whatever they're going to do. They shouldn't have went to 9 games. But I would tell you that if you look at what their schedule is now because of that CFP metric becoming supposedly more important in playoff selection, they're
Yes.
definitely playing more. You've got, I think, Ohio State has 6 preseason top 25 teams on its schedule. Will they be top 25 at the end of the year? Not all of them, but 6. Michigan's got 5. And both of them play really good out of conference games. Oklahoma obviously playing against Michigan in the big house, and then Ohio State on the return
Texas.
home at Texas, right? So they're playing. I mean, I'm not bad mouthing the top of the league so much, other than Indiana, who's they opted out of a game with Virginia or Virginia Tech to play Mercer, or something like that. I don't love it. I think that Matt Rule ducks out of the Tennessee game so that
That was crazy.
and because why would I do that? And says why would I play Oklahoma whenever I don't have to? What the hell are you? I mean, it sounded like Lincoln Riley 101, who ducked out of freaking playing Notre Dame.
Because I got tired of getting their ass whooped.
Yeah.
But that's when you regroup and you get better and try to beat that team. I mean, if a team beats me, I'm not gonna duck them. I'm gonna want to try to keep playing your ass because I want to get your ass. I'm not gonna duck you just because, oh well, you got me. I'm just gonna go over here and play with my blocks and not try to get you. I'm going to try to play you every single chance I get. That's the only way you get better. You don't get better by ducking competition. You get worse. So that's why Lincoln Riley is never going to be a damn good coach. He'll be a damn good
You gotta
OC.
play better.
He'll
If
be
you're
a
ducking, if you're ducking
yeah.
competition, you're gonna have to play somebody good to win. But here's the thing: without that strength of schedule mattering, if your strength of schedule doesn't matter, then they are doing it the right way in
Yes.
the Big Ten by protecting their big brands by not having them play each other all the time. Listen, if that strength of schedule does not start being more important, then it's going to continue to be that way. Believe that,
Yeah.
and because now we've seen them fix it a little bit, but I'm telling you now that it better get better. Right now,
Oh yeah.
Miami almost didn't get in. Put all the false media narrative Miami hate aside. If you're rocking with the U, you know what to do. Your daddy Mario Cristobal support how to use up. Come on, Black Raiders. Still, you're out of your mind. I'm telling you that Miami is going to be the real deal, and with Darian Minsa, they're going to be great. But again, who the hell are they going to have to play to get there? And mind you, they still haven't won a damn ACC championship. So spare me the guarantees that they're going to get there. I think they're one of the best teams in the country. They should be able to win an Addy. I don't know that I believe they're going to do so.
Yeah. No, man.
Of
It's
course. Yes, they made the blueprint on winning a Natty by playing a bunch of cupcakes. Except that again, while they did all that, it was the blueprint for last year. It's not the blueprint moving forward, which is why they're having to beef up their strength of schedule right now through the teams in the conference
yep.
playing each other. That's why you're seeing more of it this year. I'll put it to you this way: USC, Lincoln Riley, and USC, even with ducking Notre Dame, are playing 4 top 25 teams, which is more than he's played in his tenure at SC.
Yep.
More than he's played since he got there. So it's still going to be tougher than it's been for him. And so he's kind of under the, we talked about it on your show yesterday. Lincoln's kind of on the hot seat here.
Oh
You
yeah,
got to.
he's
It's
simmering.
time for him. It's time for him to get. They're expecting him to be in the playoff this year. Especially if Indiana can do it, why the hell can't you? Right?
You got well, they might get a chance now getting
Come
rid of
on,
the
bro. You know what I mean?
getting rid of the Billy Blanks the conditioning plan. They might do something this year, but I doubt it. I doubt it,
That's
man.
the other part too. Is that again the other piece of it? That's what I was saying earlier. Seawalt was that it was also the experience. That was also the blueprint for Ohio State the year before that, and Michigan the year before that. Was retaining experience and getting experienced great players out of the portal as well. Ohio State went and got Caleb Downs, Quinshaw Judkins, and went and got Will Howard who was an experienced quarterback to go along with all their recruits. But they retained. They spent most of the $30 million they spent on their championship at Ohio State was on retention. Most of it was on retention.
Yeah.
So, and we know
Hey,
that was the case with Michigan, right? Go ahead.
yeah. No, I gotta get up out of here. I gotta go to the DMV and get this truck registered and everything. So I had to bought me a new truck.
Cool.
So yeah.
Another new truck.
Yeah.
Another new truck. Hey, that's what's up.
Well, I try to tell you, man, I'm about to get this food truck going and trying to get some other things going and everything, man. So
The
we're
food
moving in
truck.
the right. Oh yeah, man. You know how we do it, man. Brisket and ribs and other kind of stuff
Oh,
and everything. So
dang.
we're gonna do some things
Okay.
like that, me and the wife.
I like it.
So, but no, man. But thank you for
I'll
letting me
get a
come
hold of
on,
you here
man.
a little later. I got another idea you might enjoy.
Okay, let me know. Let me know what you need.
All right,
See
brother.
you, man. Thank you for letting me come on, man. You guys, man, like the hey, man, hit the like button, man. Like the show, man. Support my boy, man, as much as you
Tell
can.
everybody how to find you too on YouTube.
Hey man, you can find me now, man. Coach to Coach on Sundays, man, with me and Bishop Franks and everything, man. And also on Thursdays and now Saturday mornings, man, you can catch me on Coach Talk with me and Bishop as well. But man, you're always welcome, man. Whenever you want to jump on, man, let me know. Other than that, man, you guys have a wonderful day. Stay blessed, man, and I'll talk to you guys later, man.
Appreciate you, my guy.
All right, bud. Have a good one.
All right. Coach Ricks from Coach's Talk, doing Coach to Coach Sundays. I was on his show last night. We had a good time on that, and we talked about a lot of this kind of stuff, Oklahoma content, SEC, a lot of SEC stuff. If you didn't already see last week, the where we did our rankings, our power rankings for the SEC on Sooner Intel, make sure you get over there and check that out. That's on my channel. It's always obviously on Chris Mason's channel, Sooners 360 as well, and the Horns Down podcast with K. Chris. So you can go over there and check that out at any point. Also, I have us beating Georgia and Texas. They'll be very tough games, but I feel like we are being disrespected by the national media. The Dawn Data Show time. Yeah, listen. What's up, BYU? Good to see you, man. Who's not the coach? Who are we talking about? Why block? I don't know. Oh, Daddy Mario Cristobal. I don't know what you're talking about there. All right, so let me address this one. Okay, so where Oklahoma's at, I think that Oklahoma is definitely one of the teams that could win it. I don't know that I'm ready to say they're gonna, but they could. At the end of the day, right now, you got to look, it's going to hinge on this. Is what I said on Coach Rick's show last night. It's going to hinge on the play of that quarterback and how well they do offensively. You have to play Oklahoma offense to win a national championship. Being the best defense in the country, and they will be, they are, ain't going to be enough, though. If you're not at least, average, top 40, whatever. For instance, Miami was I think they were number 37 in the country in total offense, and in the 30s as well in scoring offense at Miami last year. They made it to the national championship game. They had a great defense. We know that. They had a good offense, but you got to be better. You made it to the national championship. Oklahoma's defense was easily as good as the one at Miami or Indiana or Ohio State. They made the playoff, but had they been an average offense, they could have won the Natty. A lot of that was poor quarterback play and an injured quarterback, if you want to call it that, but they could have played an uninjured quarterback and didn't. They didn't. The game plan was bad. The changes that are supposed to be made there, if those work out and John Mateer, they don't make it fall all on his shoulders to win every game for them, then Oklahoma has an opportunity. They still have to get through a nasty Texas team. I don't know that I'm just going to tell you that they're going to go and beat Georgia. The only team that beats Georgia in Athens lately, and we're talking for the last 10 years, is Bama. That's it. That's it. They had the longest home winning streak in the country when Bama beat them last year. Ole Miss didn't beat them when they went there. Look, I think that out of the first 5 games, and out of those first 3 tough games, you got Michigan, then Georgia, and then obviously Texas. You need to win 2 out of those 3. You need to win 2 out of those 3 to put yourself in position. But expecting Oklahoma to win in Georgia is crazy. And really expecting them to beat Texas when they haven't even scored a touchdown on them in 2 years is a little much too. I can't pick them until they do it. They're going to have to beat them and show me something there. Because look, I got to see it. And defense ain't enough in that game. There's such a thing as just having your number too. And sometimes Texas, it was like that for a long time the other way around. Right now, Texas has had OU's number. I can't pick against them. As an Oklahoma fan, it makes me sick to death. But I'm not picking the Sooners to win that game till they do. So that's tough. Do I think they can win? Sure. Do I think they could win in Athens? Yes. Do I think they will? I got to see it, guys. And it's going to require a better offensive output than what we saw from them most of the season last year. Mm-hmm. What up, Duke? Yeah. I don't know that I think it on paper it isn't, but I get it, Duke. I get what you're saying. I don't think that it's easy. But I also don't think that really even the quote unquote easier schedules in the SEC this year aren't really that easy. Because you have adding that ninth game, and that's the other thing. That ninth game is going to be brutal for everybody. I think it's going to be brutal for everybody. You think it's set up better? Maybe. Here's the thing. After they only get one bye week this year because of that ninth game. They've got to go and play 7 straight weeks without a week off after that. And in there, you get a Florida team that has plenty of talent on the road in the swamp. They got plenty of talent. It was a coaching issue last year. If they've got a good quarterback, nobody wins in the swamp. Nobody wins in the swamp. That's a tough place to go win at. You got to go on the road and play a team like Mississippi State that has a guy that can kick your ass in Kamario Taylor if you're not on your game. And you better be able to score some points. They've got a good defense now, or a great defensive coordinator. They've got some good players that they've added in the portal. I think that things are probably on the turnaround for Mississippi State, and they get you at home. I'm not saying you shouldn't win that game. You should. But it ain't going to just be a cakewalk either. And you've got games like that all the way through. You've got Ole Miss again. You get them at home, which is an advantage for Oklahoma. But you've got to deal with Trinidad Chambliss, who got you last year. I would agree with anybody who's going to say, yeah, he was able to get around because of the slippery field, blah, blah, blah. I get it. I understand all that. At the end of the day, it's none of these games are sure things, which is why we're saying it's tougher to be in the SEC than it is in the Big Ten. That's the point. Yeah, if they don't run I would add to this. I think that if they play decent offense, the defense is going to be, I think the defense is better this year than it was last year. It's still yet to be proven, Duke. But if they are an average offense that, let's say you average 30 points a game, they can win 10 games. It'll be tough to, but they can do it. But absolutely, it's going to not just going to hinge on the running the ball. And that's going to be part of it. The other part is going to be Mateer doing the things that he has to do, making the right plays, being able to challenge them down the field. I would tell you that if he's going to have 13 interceptions next year, this season coming up, he better have double that in touchdowns. And I would tell you that I don't really mind him having some interceptions because I think he's going to have to take some shots. You have to take shots downfield or else they're not going to honor you. And they're just going to keep loading the box and your run game won't matter because it won't work again. You know that. You're an offensive coordinator. Are you not? Yeah. OU should easily beat Michigan. OU will be 3-1 going into the Red River, and honestly, I think Texas will be the same, going 3-1 going into the Red River. Could be. I think that's. But again, I think that you need to win. I think Oklahoma, if they're not going to beat Texas, they better have beaten Georgia. Because here's the thing: if you have 2 losses by the time you leave Dallas, you can't especially with an extra SEC game in comparison to last year. And 7 straight weeks. You don't have another bye week to go along with it. There's no way that they can keep from losing enough. I would tell you there's no way I expect them to keep from losing another game. I think they're going to go 10-2, but those 2 losses better not be early or otherwise it's going to go. I think they can go 10-2, but only if they win 2 out of the 3 early games. Only then, because they're going to lose one down the stretch, man. It's just I don't see how you can't. I don't see how you can't. You know. That'd be tough to do. Yeah, if you control the ball with the run and your defense, you should win every game with 30. I agree with that, Dave. That's what I've been saying. But until I see them actually like go out there and do that, it's not simple for me as a fan to say yes. They will. Because I got to see it, and you guys know, I'm the one guy that I tell it like I call it like I see it with Mateer. He wasn't the guy last year. He was not the guy. Injury, you can blame it on the injuries if you want to. He didn't make great decisions either. Did not make great decisions either. The defense carried Oklahoma. Got to be better. He's got to be better. No, you can't. No, you can't. No, you're right. 100%, man. 100%. But you got to have a running game to make it easier on him too. I think that what I would tell you is I believe that Oklahoma is doing the things within the system. He's working on some of the stuff that he needed to work on. I think he looked better in the spring game. It's a spring game. It don't really matter. But the things that you would want him to look better at than he looked last year, he did. So you can tell he's working on it. The scheme that they're employing is more conducive for them having a good running game. The tight ends that they brought in is more conducive with their size, is more conducive for them having a good running game, being able to run out of 12 personnel. Dalen McCullough being an unbelievably good running back coach that, has had a bunch of 1,000-yard back stuff. I mean, he recruited Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price and Audric Estime at Notre Dame. He had a 1,500-yard rusher at USC. He had a 2,000-yard rusher at Indiana. What's the kid's name from Boise State that he was coaching last year for the Raiders? He had a really good rookie year despite the Raiders being shitty. So what that all should do is make the game easier for John Mateer to be a game manager. But he's got to be a game manager. And he's got to be unafraid to throw down the field too. With his thumb not broken, the hope is, and you got bigger targets with Parker Livingston on the outside. Trell Harris has been a stud. You got Satania coming back. There's no reason your targets with your tight ends are monsters. No reason why he should be afraid to go down the field anymore. But you got to be able to bring them out of those too high safety looks and those shell packages where they're just daring you to run at them because you don't run it well. Got to. And if he's not better, you're not going to do that. It might be. Parker Livingston was good there. He was good at Texas. You can talk shit all you want to, Bevo, but you'd be loving him if he was still there. Quit being a clown. It could be S4L, but I have to see it. Yeah. This is exactly right, Snake. Exactly right. Yeah. And I would tell you that part of that had to do with the lack of commitment to a running game as well. Not to mention the scheme. The RPO, it wasn't. I've never been a fan of the RPO, but it's not conducive for you being a great running team. It's just not. Those guys aren't firing off the ball on the O-line. I think you've got a solid O-line, and with the tight ends that you have, barring major injuries and a bunch of them, They should be really good there. That the backs that they have should be great. There's no reason that Mateer can't do a better job this year. Climb the pocket, stop, don't read two and get the hell out of there. We don't need that. And if he's running, look, the one thing they have to limit his exposure to linebackers and shit hitting him. Can't have it. If you're running 10 or 15, 18 times a game like you were last year, he's not going to last all season. Just like he shouldn't have lasted all last season. He was too hurt to play for a lot of it. And now you don't have the experience or talent that you had last year at the backup position. You don't. So, it's one thing that, that they played him through all that crap last year, but if he were to get hurt again and he really gets hurt to where he has to come out, it's not going to be the same thing. Listen, it hinges on John Mateer. Make no mistake. He's got to play well. And he's got to stay healthy. If he doesn't, Oklahoma's fucked. He has to not be asked to do as much. He has to not be trying to do as much, though, too, dude. Right. Well, I would hope not. Yeah, if he goes down there in trouble. Look, I think Witt might be okay. And I think at some point, you could see Bo Bentley be very, very good, right? He's got a big arm. He seems, everything you see from him, the look is there. He ain't ready yet. And I don't see him having that much improvement by the time, the bullets start flying this season. It's just not. But with Neubauer, big arm and all, maybe he'd be a better game manager because he's not as. You don't have to worry about him taking off as much. But the running game has to be, they have the commitment to 40 plus times a game with the running backs has to be there. David Kincaid, hey, the no faking sports guy, man, I give him a lot of props. That he had numbers that were real. Those numbers that he was looking up, he went and found the right ones. 40 times is the magic number. They never lost when they ran it anywhere close to that. So, yeah, I agree. I think that they have to step up. You're right, Duke. But I also think, in order to do that, he needs to realize that it only makes the game easier if he does the right thing. If he plays better and manages the game. Doesn't just take off. He trusts the system that they're running. Because it's going to be different than what he's been doing. They definitely lowballed him. Why are we going so crazy about the Livingston thing? Guys, y'all gotta come in there. Don't be dogging Parker Livingston. He was at Texas last year. He was definitely one of Arch's favorite guys. Their plan was to go and upgrade a lot of places, but there was a lot of things that were getting blamed at Texas. If you want to start talking smack, there was a lot of things getting blamed at Texas, like PK, for them not handling business and getting done with what they didn't get done with. The end of the day, the offensive line and the lack of a run game there was the biggest problem, not the defense. So going and getting Cam Coleman and those other running backs, say what you want. I don't know that the offensive line is going to be a ton better. We'll see. Arch can't do it himself either. And I'm telling you that I think Arch is going to be very, very good. There's no reason he shouldn't be very, very good. Texas was willing to pay more for it. They aren't even saying that out loud, Bevo. Shut up. They're not even saying that out loud. I agree with you there. He said it. He said as much. That he felt like he got lowballed. And it's a business now. At the end of the day, it's a business. Of course. Yeah. Well, here's the deal. They're not gonna look. It. You can have Cam Coleman and all the other guys that you got. Cool and all. If that offensive line isn't better, we'll see. The defense isn't going to be magically better because you got uh, Will Muschamp to come back. I don't believe that. Not for a second. Because they were carrying your ass for the last 3 years anyway. So anyway. Oh yeah, French ended up at Michigan. He didn't play much at Texas last year. He was a 5-star though. That's another 5-star dude, right? For all this stuff we hear about, you know, the rest of them. Khalid Lockett, yeah. I mean, he's a stud too, 5-star dude. They didn't get much out of him. Yeah, maybe it will, but that is more aggressive. Okay. It wasn't what was holding you back though. The defense was one of the best defenses in the country for the last 3 years, was it not? Their inability to score in the red zone was a much bigger problem than anything that was happening on that defense. I know that, you know that, the whole freaking Texas fan base knows it, and so does Sark. He still fired PK and went and got Will Muschamp. Cool. What did you really do there? What did you solve? You didn't solve your offensive line problems. Cot Flood still has a job. The defense was regressing because they were on the damn field all the time because the offense wasn't getting it done. Come on, man. Get out of here with that. Look, here's the day. At the end of the day, I'll say this about Parker Livingston, and I'm gonna leave it here because I don't care about. I could give a shit that he played at Texas. I think it's fun for like poking fun at these guys. He's 6'4", big body. He was running good routes in the spring game. I saw it. Mateer missed him on an easy touchdown. He's the guy that can stretch the field on the edges that you didn't really have last year in the games. I think he's going to be a good fit for Oklahoma. He doesn't have to be the best receiver on the field. They're not even asking him to be. I would tell you that he's more like the number 3 receiver at OU too, Bevo. Because you've got Trail coming in from Virginia. You've got Isaiah Satania, who he was the best receiver last year. He's their main target. You've got some big body tight ends that should make for great targets over the middle. Look, if he has a 600-yard season, I think it's a hell of a season for him. They're not asking him to be the number 1 guy. They're not. That's easy for you to say. I mean, because he got fired and you know, you've never seen Kobe. So what you're telling me is you've never seen coaches that scapegoat assistants for their shortcomings. I mean, it goes on at USC every year. It was going on at Oklahoma while he was in Oklahoma. Dabo's been freaking booting assistants out for the where's Seawalt at? Dabo's been booting assistants out for the last 5 years, year by year. He's going through them like toilet paper, and they ain't getting better. And nobody remembers the fact that one thing I'll give to SEC Mike, and I'm a fan of that show, by the way, but I'll say this. He's got numbers that says Muschamp's defense is his last time of being the coordinator that was calling the plays, and that goes all the way back to what? Alabama or Auburn, when he was at Auburn. They were in the hundreds and everything. And it had been like that for a while. So there's no guarantee that Muschamp being there is going to make a big difference there. It could make the difference the other way. They were one of the best defenses in the country. Go look at it. They were one of the best. I don't think it's just because of the pro. It's also because he refuses. You go and get a guy like Garrett Riley to run your offense and then don't let him run his offense. He's got to run the Clemson offense. That was stupid. Oh, of course. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. At the end of the day, I'm going to sit here and tell you that I think that Texas is one of the best teams in the country right now. I think a lot of it will hinge on your offensive line on whether you take that next step or not. And whether, look, because say what you want, Sark's play calling in the red zone has been shitty for 3 years. It's not an argument. That's a fact. The numbers will tell you that. He's got to be better. He knows he has to be better. It's easy to scapegoat your assistants, but that's what they do. So at the end of the day, I think that I'm telling you again, I think they're one of the best 3 teams in the country right now, probably, at least. But that doesn't mean they were probably talent-wise, they were probably the same thing last year coming into the season. Everybody had them number 1, and I expect them to be better than they were, especially at the start of the year last year, because Arch had to go through growing pains. He had to. Nobody wanted to talk about it like that, but everybody should have known. Who's my number 1 right now? I got Georgia, number 1. It'd be, Georgia at number 1. 1A, they'll be in Ohio State. I'm not buying Oregon. I think they're top 5, but I'm not buying them as the best team in the country. I don't think they are. But I'd say, I think Texas is probably like right there at 3rd. I think Indiana is somewhere in the mix, probably there. But I don't know. I got to see if Josh Hoover's better than that. And they got to replace a bunch from last year. I don't really expect to see the same thing out of them. I think Signetti's a hell of a coach. But you're going to have to – I still think there's more there. Miami's got to be right there. I think Darian Mensah is an upgrade to Carson Beck, and they've got probably, well, at worst, the number 2 receiver in the country, who's just a sophomore, true sophomore. They lost some on their offensive line a little bit, but they're still big there. I think Miami's going to be really good. And they don't really, we'll see if they can do anything else. Notre Dame is another one, another monster. People can talk shit about them all they want to. They're going to win all those games. They're going to win. So we'll see. We'll see. I think really, essentially, they've got BYU and what, A&M that they play? Or not A&M, Miami, huh? BYU and Miami. Those are their 2 tough games. But they're legit. Defensively, offensively, they're legit. So, Notre Dame right there. I think Oklahoma could be. I don't really have a problem with them being in the second half of the top 10 as far as the rankings are concerned. I think overall, I don't know that the rankings really matter at this point of the year. I'm like a lot of people, you'll know who's what in the first 4 weeks. But I do think that if I'm handicapping it, I think Oklahoma's somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 or 6. I think LSU's probably somewhere right around there. I think Alabama can be. I don't know if they're going to go with Keelan or not. If they go with Keelan, they're a problem. They're a problem. Because I think they're going to be better on offense either way. That's what they do there. And they have probably the best secondary in the SEC. Alabama's not going anywhere either. I know people want to, people are just waiting for them to like fall all the way down to the bottom of the SEC. That ain't happening, folks. No, no, they already had another really good one. So they had Aeneas Williams, his son. He was already looking really, really good. No, they're not going to fall back on that. That's what they produce good running backs there. Dalen McCullough was recruiting all those guys too. Miami, yes. Miami's going to be legit. Yeah. You think it'll be worse because they brought in receivers? Okay. I think it could be more balanced. Denbrock's they're going to run the football because that's what Marcus is going to make them run the football. They do that. Mike Denbrock is going to run the football because Mike Denbrock runs the football. He likes to throw it when he can. And you've got a guy, and look, CJ Carr's a stud. And this is what I'm saying. But it's a big if. They have to do that, and Mateer has to play his part and manage the game. They have to do both those things. But that's what the season will hinge on. Because defensively, I think they're going to be better than they were last year, and they had more sacks and tackles for loss than anybody. They would have been even better, and they were top 10 in the major statistics. They were top 2 in, everything in the SEC, number 1 or 2 in everything in the SEC. They were no further than like 6th or maybe 10th in certain categories of, different little categories. It was the best defense in the country last year. It didn't get looked at as the best defense in the country last year because they were on the field a lot more than they should have been. It hurt their stats. They were still the best defense. I'll stand on that. You got to give them more support in the games that they lost. The Texas game, they gave the offense multiple chances to run away with that thing, and they let Texas hang around by not scoring and getting off the field early and turning the ball over. And eventually, the dam's going to break when you do that shit. Not to mention, a punt return where you have multiple blocks in the back that springs for a touchdown. That being said, again, they didn't play well enough to win. And you have to have an offense. To win a national championship, you got to do it on both sides of the ball. You have to. So, at the end of the day, that's where I'm at on it. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of a weird deal, right? I was surprised as shit at that too. That the former Michigan head coach, who was unbelievably good, that his grandson doesn't go. That his grandson went to Notre Dame instead of Michigan. Woof. Yost rolling over in his grave. Yes, you are worried about the O-line, or you wouldn't have a word to say about it, Bevo. Stop lying to us. Don't lie. Let me ask you guys, though. I was just talking about it with Coach Ricks, so we don't just make this an Oklahoma, Texas talk. Let me ask you, is it important that the SEC wins the national championship this year for the future of the conference as far as recruiting and staying on top with, having people want to continue to go there? Because, listen, I think it's going to be important. Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, right. Whatever, bro. It hadn't been brought up. But just like everything else you say, they're the best. Get out of here. You hope to watch the Texas game this year? You'll be on a cruise ship? Should be able to find it. Should be able to watch it. They got internet and shit out there, TV. Cruise ships are, but they're going to have to be better. SEC has to win the Natty this year or next season. But does it hurt your ability to get the best players in the SEC if somebody in the SEC doesn't win it, is what I'm asking, Benji. I don't give a shit about anybody else winning it but Oklahoma either. That's not the question I asked you. A Bevo call might be fun to listen to. Yeah, listen, I'll let you guys do it. I'll tell you what, we're going to start doing some stuff like that. So I'll go ahead and end it here. We've been going forever anyway. So what we're going to be doing, we'll be back tomorrow, but it'll be a short, like 15, 20-minute video. We're going to start doing more of that, putting it out in smaller, more digestible pieces for everybody to grow the channel. We have to grow the channel. I appreciate all the support that I get from all you guys, even you Texas fans that are always here whenever this show comes on. I appreciate it 100%. But we're going to give more, so we'll be, for the rest of the week, we'll be doing, and I'm going to cut out what Mr. Mason and I did earlier today, put that out there for people as well. But tomorrow we'll be back on, him and I, for about 15 minutes. It'll be recorded. Same thing Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We'll be putting out content all 3 of those days. On Friday, we're going to be talking about for you Oklahoma fans, what an acceptable win-loss record for Oklahoma would be for you this year. So something for you guys to think about. What do you got? Fucking Neilio. Yeah. And we'll be talking more about that. There's plenty of stuff to talk about around the country. We're going to break it down into, 15-minute segments just to try to grow the channel. We still have, Sooner Intel every Thursday night. But with me, K. Chris, and Mr. Mason, I'll be doing Big Monday for sure. We may add another live stream somewhere in there as things go on. But we're going to try to grow this channel up we'll see kind of how it goes. But yeah, better be it for OU fans. Better be a record good enough for the CFP. Absolutely. I think I would agree with that. Do you know who Michael Fasusi is, Bevo? What did Bevo say that only one of our teams has an All-American lineman on it? You really don't pay attention to anything, do you? You've got a freshman All-American on the Oklahoma O-line. I think it changes what teams in the SEC get the best players, though. Okay. It doesn't change player access, but it'll change who gets them. Good. But you've already seen more good players from SEC country going north. That's why you guys are winning. You're getting guys that normally wouldn't be going up there, particularly Indiana. The money has definitely changed it. But Kirby wasn't wrong about that part. I think he was just not giving it the entire treatment, right? There's a lot of things that have conspired for the SEC to not win in the last few years. And the dauntingness of the schedule is being one of them. The fact that you can't stack them up like you used to with NILs another. But I don't know that it gets a lot easier this year, and I don't know that you necessarily – listen, I think that right now I would look at it. I think Ohio State could win it. I think Georgia, Ohio State, Miami, Texas, Oklahoma, maybe LSU, but that's stretching it. I think Ole Miss could win it with the amount of stuff they coming back, but certain things are going to have to happen for them as well, I think. I think Alabama could, if the right things are going. I mean, if they get it going in the running game, because their defense is good, and I think that they have to play Keelan Russell. If Keelan Russell gets the job, they become a contender again. But I think we'll see what happens with LSU. I don't know if I believe in them or not. We'll know a lot about that in week 3 whenever they play, or week 4, whichever it is that they play LSU at home. Ole Miss. So Ole Miss and LSU in Oxford. I believe it's week 4. Hell of a game that'll be. But you're going to have a lot of those battles every week. From week to week in the SEC, it's going to be a tough year. And I think that at the end of the year, the Big Ten is playing a tougher in-conference schedule than it has in the past. But it still ain't as tough as some of these top contenders are going to be playing in the SEC. So, look, yeah, I think that some of it who's the most healthy, we'll find out. That brings into play, Miami. I know a lot of people think that Texas A&M is a team that can win it all. I do not think that they're one of them. I know that there are people that believe that USC could win it all. I'm not one of them that believes that. Not. But we'll see. We shall see. Thank you, Truoki. Appreciate you. Yes, he was. Cool for Trevor Gooseby. Lost you at Ole Miss. They have the best quarterback. The best returning quarterback. No, I did not say this. Not at all. In fact, I said that I think they continue to regress, even though I like Austin Simmons. Notre Dame, the one that absolutely. I think that I probably have Notre Dame right at. Like I said, I think Georgia, Notre Dame could 1-1A, Ohio State. I think they're all I look at them all three the same pretty much. I think that Texas right behind that, Oklahoma, Miami. I mean, you could rank them any way you want to from there, but that would be my first 3, second 3. We'll see. I think Alabama's going to be right there. I think LSU maybe. I think I feel like LSU's maybe a year away from that, right? I think Oregon's going to be in the mix. I think they're certainly in that top 8 or 9 teams. I don't buy them as the favorite in the Big Ten. I think it's Ohio State, but that's just me. I know a lot of people do think it's Oregon. I don't. That's true, Dave. You're not wrong. Krusty. Why are you saying fight on, weirdo? Who has the best running quarterback? Not named Arch Manning? Would you stop? No, they're not. I think Marcel Reed is awful. Awful. And they just promoting from within to that coordinator position was a lazy move. A lazy move. Not the right thing to do. Yeah, Notre Dame should probably go undefeated, no doubt. I would agree with that. Listen, to me, I don't want to give it away what we're going to talk about on Friday, but we'll definitely be back on, we'll have a show out on Friday talking about what is an acceptable record for Oklahoma in 2026. What is an acceptable outcome for the football team? I would tell you, even just making the playoff isn't enough for me. I think they need to make a run in the playoff. I really do. Sounds like that's what you're saying too, Duke. Thunder over the Lakers in 5. Second half of that, I wish I could pick the same, but I'm not doing it until Oklahoma wins now. I have to see it. All right, that's enough out of you, Bevo. You're gone. I knew you were going to say that. I think they should. Listen, I don't think there's an excuse for them not, barring an injury to Mateer or something like that. There's not a reason why they shouldn't make a run like that. I agree with you. And they've they have done the things with the roster, with the staff, and what they're trying to do schematically on the offense to make it easier for Mateer. I agree. They don't have an excuse to not. I don't want to give it all away what we're going to talk about, but I think that that's a lot of it. Appreciate everybody coming in. Guys, if you haven't already, become a subscriber to the channel. We got a new subscriber. I saw that today. Thank you for becoming a new sub. I'd appreciate it. Become a new sub. Share the streams with your friends. Make sure you turn on the notifications as we're doing a bunch of these recorded shows. I want to make sure that you get your notifications. Make sure that you are able to interact with the show and share it. We appreciate it every time you do that. So that's the main thing. A healthy Mateer. We'll see how scary he is. He has to stay healthy, though. Sub this, man. All right, bro. Appreciate everybody coming in. We'll see you all throughout the week. Thursday night on a live show, but we'll be back all throughout this week. See you on the next one.